All right. Good evening, everyone. We are ready to start this evening's meeting. It is 6:04, actually 6:05. Welcome, everyone, to the May 17, 2023 public hearing and regular meeting of Community Board 4. We're going to go right into our public hearing agenda this evening, starting with Dr. Zahira McNatt, Assistant Commissioner from the Bureau of Brooklyn Neighborhood Health, Center for Health Equity and Community Wellness with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Dr. McNatt, whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
Wonderful. Glad to be connected. I'm sorry that it looks like I have mic access, but not video, but I'm smiling and it's great to see everyone this May. And so really,
Dr. McNatt was just made a panelist. Bear with us for a minute, folks, so she has full sharing capabilities.
hi, good evening again. Apologies, glad to be connected and great to see everyone. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, so just wanted to say hello and greetings from the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene from our Brooklyn office. Here where we are paying close attention and in great partnership with you around the neighborhoods of Bushwick, Brownsville, East New York, and Bed-Stuy. My name is Zahira McNatt. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for what's called the Bureau of Brooklyn Neighborhood Health. And today, I'm not sure if it's right now or in a few minutes, you'll get to hear from some of our team members who will tell you a little bit about what's happening at the Bushwick Health Center on Central Avenue. And so we just wanted to say hello, thank you for the time and the partnership, and open up an opportunity for conversation on the Bushwick Health Center after the presentation from my colleagues Estella and Zulma. So greetings to you. Looking forward to the meeting. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Estella, Zuma, whenever you're ready.
Hi there, good evening. Not sure if Estella is on board at this moment. Just double checking. And I apologize if she's not on board. I know if she's she may have a little technical problem, but I will then pick up where normally she would pick up. So if you give me 1 second, I apologize. Okay. I apologize. I'm going to try to see if I could then share these slides with you normally. So forgive me for 1 second. Okay, dokie. Let me see if I could just share these with you. Okay, I'm trying to see if I can share my screen.
Kim is about to make Estella a panelist.
Oh, like wonderful. Perfect.
So,
okay,
yeah, so she should be a panelist shortly.
Sure. Okay, great. Again, it's great seeing everyone there, and glad you met Dr. McNatt. That's my boss.
Do you want to tell us who you are, Zuma?
Oh, no, well, let me let Estella go and I'll introduce myself. Go ahead, Estella.
Hi,
right.
Good afternoon or good evening. Great to be here. I'm Estella Cuetero. I'm the special assistant to Dr. Zahira McNatt at the Bureau of Brooklyn Neighborhood Health, and I am here with Zuma. Z, you can introduce yourself if you would like, and then in the meantime, I'll share my screen.
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone. Again, Community Board 4, my wonderful extended family. As many of you know, I'm part of Bushwick in many aspects, and I'm really happy to be here, especially with Dr. McNatt and my colleague Estella, a great partner in crime, and she's getting to know Bushwick. So I'm very excited, just excited to hear what's been going on.
Yes, so I can get started. So we will be presenting the updates for Bushwick Health Center, and just happy to be here and present this information. So the agenda for today is just a very brief overview on the Bureau of Brooklyn Neighborhood Health. Then we'll move on into specifics for the Bushwick Health Center, current services that we have going on, upcoming programming, and then lastly, construction updates. And we'll have some time for some questions that might come up from the presentation. In general, we are the Bureau of Brooklyn Neighborhood Health. We are under the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. We are a 50-person team who work toward our mission and vision, which we see here, which we strive to reduce health inequities for North and Central Brooklyn residents impacted by discrimination and long-term disinvestment. And although we do primarily focus on North and Central Brooklyn, we do have programming that is citywide and also borough-wide. So we do have clients and partners throughout Brooklyn and also throughout the city of New York. And then moving on, we do have our 3 different locations under the Bureau of Brooklyn Neighborhood Health. First, the Bushwick Health Center, which is at 335 Central Avenue, which we'll be focusing on today. Then we have the Bedford Health Center, which is at 485 Troop Avenue. And that's where Dr. McNabb, Z, and I sit. And then we have the Brownsville Action Center, which is at 259 Bristol Street. And that's really where we have a lot of our public-facing events and a lot of programming where our community members can actually come and visit the site. All of them can be visited, but that's where we have the most programming at the moment. So as for current ongoing services, really the purpose of us presenting here today was to make sure that you as Bushwick residents and providers are aware of the services that we have going on and that are available at the Bushwick Health Center, despite the construction that is going on the exterior of the building. Our co-located partners like Health and Hospitals and Public Health Solutions are still open for services. So first, on the first floor, we have the Women, Infant, and Children, or known as WIC program. And this program allows assistance with WIC applications and information on the program. They are available both in person and by phone. They are only in the office Mondays and Wednesdays, but they are available telephonically Monday through Friday. So we will be dropping some information into the chat on how to contact them, the phone number where you can reach them Monday through Friday. And they do accept walk-ins and also appointments. So walk-ins Mondays and Wednesdays when they are in the office, and telephonically Monday through Friday. And then we have the Office of Health Insurance Services. So they're also on the first floor. They can help with any health insurance eligibility and enrollment services. And they also support with SNAP applications. They are available Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4 p.m. They do take both walk-ins and in-person appointments. But for walk-ins, I believe they have more of a limited time frame. So you can call and schedule an appointment with them at the numbers that will also be dropped in the chat. And then for the last 2 providers, which we have here, we have Teens Connection and Newborn Home Visiting Program. They both work with external providers for their services, so they don't have like direct services like that people can just walk in into the building for. So Teens Connection works primarily with schools, healthcare clinics, and community groups to improve teen sexual and reproductive health. And meanwhile, Newborn Home Visiting Program operates out of hospitals in the city, and in Bushwick, primarily, it would be Wyckoff and Woodhull hospitals. And this program is a free service for all birthing parents, regardless of age or immigration status, and provides support to new birthing parents within the first weeks of birth. And there is a number specifically dedicated for those living in North and Central Brooklyn, which will also be dropped in the chat. And now moving on to the second and the third floor, these are services provided by Health and Hospitals. And the second floor has gynecology and obstetrics, which is provided by Dr. Jones. And then we have general medical services provided by Dr. McBain. And on the third floor, we have pediatrics. So the pediatrics provider is a nurse practitioner, Lise Claudie Perard, and there are also social work services that are provided on the third floor. And then these are the services that are currently available within the physical building at the Bushwick Health Center at 335 Central Avenue. But in addition to these services, we also have services that are provided by our bureau that are available both citywide and borough-wide. So we have first the citywide doula initiative, which provides professional, no-cost doula services to residents of neighborhoods that have been especially affected by COVID-19. And these include zip codes or zip codes that Bushwick falls under. So for more information, there will also be a link in the chat for the citywide doula initiative and how to access that program. We also have Healthy Start Brooklyn, which provides a variety of support programs and classes for expectant and new parents who live in Brooklyn. And this includes education and support about pregnancy, childbirth, parenting, breastfeeding, fatherhood, and healthy living. So there's also information to enroll, or for any questions about the program, we have an online page. There will be also a number provided or an email where you can direct any of your questions. And then lastly, while it is in Brownsville, we do have our Action Center, which hosts a variety of programs and activities focused on health and wellness. This could include like mental health support groups, trainings, workshops, and community events. We also have clinical partners there in the building that also offer services including dental and primary care. And I will pass it over to Z for the next slides.
Thank you so much, Stella, and I'll let you just continue those slides there for the next one. I'm having technical problem with that, and especially with my camera. But next slide, if it's possible, we're going to talk about basically what we are our new and the future programming that we have in Bushwick. Since the COVID, we've definitely been moving and focusing on what it has done to us, and that leads us to actually segue to increasing mental health services. That's one thing that we are definitely focusing on a lot, and we have already started. We have already been providing some.
Hey, Zuma,
training.
for whatever reason,
Yes.
Zuma, there's some feedback on your sound. We can't really hear you.
Oh, I apologize. Let me. Okay. Oh boy. Let me have two sites open without knowing it. Okay, if you can stand by, I'm just gonna log myself and try to log myself back in.
Okay.
I apologize for that. Good evening. Are you able to hear me now?
I can now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. It's Celeste, are you able to hear me, Mr. Camacho?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, so like I was saying earlier, now we have some really great training that we are focusing on in Bushwick at this moment as we speak. So that's going to really be taking a good portion really within our community, bringing all of these services. So that includes the naloxone training, mental health, CPR. We already started these trainings for everyone. And it's a very valuable tool that we're bringing because of what we have gone through in many respects. So yes, we are open full for business. Even though the building may be the way it looks, we are actually moving forward. Not only that, we also have an upcoming maternal health resource fair that's going to be taking place that includes infant CPR and childbirth education. And we also have a lactation room availability. Many may not have known that, but we do have that in the premises. It's going to be up and running. once we get all full services going there for everyone's use. And forgive me, I'm just trying to make sure I got this right. Then what we also are providing is not only that, with the Bushwick, with what's been going on there with our programming, I know many have concerned about the health center and the construction that's been taking place there. We are still in that phase 1 and 2, and I know Dr. McNabb can jump in at any time. We're almost at 70% completion, which is wonderful. We are going to go into a phase 3 window at this moment, which is the replacement for everyone to know what's going on in the facility as well. And one request that I know was made very clear for many of you was the exterior and built-in benches to be sort of be removed in some aspect from the original plan, and that has been addressed as well. And I apologize because I'm still having some difficulty even seeing some of my slides. So Estella, if I have missed anything, please jump in or let me know.
Yeah, it sounds good for the health center construction updates. I did just want to go back a little bit into the new and future programming.
Yes, please.
So a lot of these programs are addressing some issues that have come up in previous conversations regarding mental health as well. And maternal health is one of our largest portfolios here at the Bureau of Brooklyn Neighborhood Health. So we're just happy to be expanding those services that into the Bushwick neighborhood. But yeah, the naloxone trainings, or for these trainings that we have going on, we either have them in the actual building at 335 Central, or we also are partnering with other partners in the community. So right now, I believe we've held some of the workshops at Hope Gardens Community Center, and also working with the Riseboro Senior Center at Palmetto Gardens, which we have a flyer up here, kind of just like showing some of the previous trainings that happened already, but we will have more that we will announce with the community board and other partners in Bushwick.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now my slides came up on my screen. That's why I handed over. So that was very well covered. And we are going to be coming back again, visiting. We're doing a lot of multi-visits in the community, Estelle and I. So we've partnering also with Riseboro in many capacity. What I just want to let everyone know that, again, even though we are in construction, we are fully open for services. And not only that, we will come to you if we have to, but we want the community to know that we're fully open. You have our information, our contact, and we're going to come back full force, especially in the fall. So we are really, really excited and looking forward to that. And especially when this construction gets done, you're going to have a beautiful building. I'll pass it over to you, Dr. McNabb, if you want to contribute anything, ma'am.
Thank you, Estella. Thank you, Zulma. And thanks everyone for listening in and just hearing a little bit more about the Bushwick Health Center and its construction, as well as its current programming and new programming. And otherwise, we welcome questions. Estella will drop some information in the chat to get in connection with all of the programming. But otherwise, I know you have many things to cover today. And so I'll hand back over to Mr. Caracho.
Anyone has any questions, comments, concerns?
Well, yeah, if no board members, then
Yeah.
Any board members first?
Any board members first that have any questions? No, I just have a comment. I want to thank you. I also, if you want to work together, we can make sure that you do this presentation in Hope Gardens for our seniors and for the people that do live in the development, because they see that it's closed down. Maybe a lot of them don't think that it's really the services are still there. So maybe we can get together and I can introduce you to the TA president, and you can do a presentation where they can all know that the services that are there. And I want to thank for you guys for being a team player with us and making sure that I know Celeste's been bugging me about that health clinic and a lot of people there, because I remember when we used to go get our shots in there, and that used to be the community board office back in the days. So we really need to make sure. I know I'm looking at all your old timers here, I know, and we really need to make sure that the services are kept here and that we continue to get the service here in Bushwick for our people and our kids. Thank you.
Okay, Camacho.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
Camacho,
you.
we're definitely gonna do that. We're looking forward to that. Actually
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be
gonna
meeting with
run
them
to
as well at Hope Gardens.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
Barbara Smith, are you gonna have the doula program up and running?
So the doula program is running. It's just more phone based, and it's with there's different providers that we contract with as well. So I will be, if it's not in the chat already, I can drop it in as soon as I stop sharing my screen, so that there's all the content is in there, because there's different providers that do the doula services, either well, no cost and for free. And there's also, it's through both the Citywide Doula Initiative and also Healthy Start Brooklyn has a section for doula providers. So I'll drop that information if it's not in the chat already.
I thank you so much for your time, because y'all all are speaking our language that we can understand what you're talking about. Thank you so much.
I love it.
Thank you, Ms.
Yes,
Barbara.
No problem.
Can I ask a question?
Thank you, Ms. Barbara. I just wanted to share, just to build on the doula question. So we now are so doulas are freely accessible in Bushwick and throughout Brooklyn and the city. And so when you see what the link in the chat, it'll have the phone number that you can call for the area that you live in, so that the doulas can come to your home. So when we say they're phone based, that's how you start, but then the doulas actually visit you in your home while you're pregnant. And then they are with you during your birth, and then they make postpartum visits for 2 months after your pregnancy. And so that will be in the chat with the phone number and the website. So thanks so much for the question. Back to you all.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm trying to actually drop them in the chat.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to know, when are they gonna have the naloxone training? What days it's gonna be held, and the mental health trainings?
Miss Maria, actually, we have a schedule, and I could definitely share that with the community board. I'm gonna send that. We have a team right now that is actually working on more trainings to schedule more. So I could talk sidebar with Ms. Celeste or Mr. Camacho, reach out to them, or you can reach out to me. We could talk sidebar, and we could definitely arrange it, because I'm trying to bring another naloxone training to Bushwick. We already had one. We can bring one immediately, but I'll do a sidebar so I can get a list of everyone. But yes, we could do it. And if we have like 10 to 15 people, the naloxone training will be taking place at 335 Central.
Okay,
We would do it right there. That's what I'm saying. We're fully open. So I would
Okay.
definitely reach out to Ms. Celeste, and you definitely have that information. That's a
All
great
right.
question. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
I see Virgie's hand is raised.
Hi, can you hear me?
It's a little bit muffled, but we can hear you, Virgie.
Oh, okay. So as Mr. Camacho said, back in the day, we used to go to the health center. And I wanted to know, do you have dental services there? And if not, are they planning on expanding with dental services like they did back in the 70s?
Right. Thank you so much for the question. So in the Bushwick location, we do not have dental services, but there is an old, as you mentioned, old dental suite that is still built out. And we're actually trying to find a partner who might want to take it on and help to revamp it. Where we do currently have dental services is in the Brownsville Action Center, which we know is decently far from where everyone is in Bushwick, but we're happy to make arrangements for folks at that location, and of course refer to places that are closer within Bushwick. And so the short answer is we don't have dental in the Bushwick Health Center on Central Avenue, but there is, as you may all remember, an old dental suite, and we're trying to find a partner who might like to take over that site and start to offer dental services there. We just reopened the dental services in the Brownsville Action Center, and the demand is high, and we understand that that's a key need within all of the neighborhoods that we serve. So more to come, but thank you for the question. And if you're looking for dental services outside of that and just not finding them, please reach out to us so that we can also help with referral.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can
I
I?
see another hand raised.
Oh, that's me.
Go ahead, Carlotta. Thank you.
Is the mental health training open to anyone?
Yes, mental health training is open to everyone. We usually focus from 18 and up. So it is definitely open. We could definitely we've been doing actually these mental health, actually with our colleagues that perhaps many of you know, also Mr. Raul, in a partnership. And we're actually doing them in Bushwick. We just had 2, and maybe many of you probably wondering, well, I didn't hear about it. Actually, they went pretty fast. That's why I'm going to be sending them directly to the community board 4. So everyone will be fully aware, and we're also putting them in the Eventbrite. But for community board 4 for Bushwick, we're going to send them to directly, so everyone could definitely sign up. So it's open to everyone from 18 and up.
Did I notice the flyer there that was advertised said May 26th?
That is correct. Yes, May 26th. That one that you see for May 26th is and forgive me because I'm switching my, I'm just trying to see the PowerPoint. I apologize. I'm trying to see the screen myself. So for May 26th, yes, that's the one in Palmetto. So what I could do is when I get back to the office tomorrow, because there is a certain limit, but if you want to, you can register. If for some reason you see that it's not letting you register or anything, by all means, just get in touch with the community board 4, that get in touch with me. I'll make sure you get into the class.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome, my dear.
All right, final comments. I believe there was someone from the chat. Okay. All right.
Marisol has her hand raised.
Thank you, Joanna. Go ahead, Marisol. You're muted. All right. We're unable to hear. If for whatever reason you can't unmute, you can always drop the question in the chat. We do have to close out this. Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead.
All right. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm not sure how to make myself a panelist. I don't see myself or anything, but thank you to the presenters. Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said in the chat, to see more work being done on naloxone trainings. Mostly I'm interested in sort of what your approach to outreach is. It sounds like mostly these are trainings that are taking place like at the actual health center. And I'm just wondering if there are plans in the future to do any sort of like more public, like out in like more visible, where people could sort of like happen upon this, or just in other environments. I'm also registered through the opioid overdose prevention program, and have done sort of like some impromptu trainings and things like in the neighborhood. And we were getting like, the one we did back at the end of April got like 30 or 40 people. And so I think it's both a question and I guess a little bit of an encouragement to maybe consider doing some more sort of public opportunities in that way, because I've certainly seen some success with it.
Just a quick point of order. Sorry, Z, just a quick point of order. Please, when you are speaking, introduce yourself and state your affiliation. If you're a board member, a resident, a representative from an elected official or a community-based organization, just so we know who is speaking. Thank you. Go ahead, Z.
Thank you so much. Sorry, not Z, Zach, sorry. Zachary Hendrickson, I'm a community board member. This is my first meeting, so I apologize for speaking out of order, everyone.
No, absolutely, Mr. Zachary. That is a wonderful, what you just brought up, the wonderful question and the concerns and everything. Actually, I met with the team today, and that's our next thing is we have a very small team, but everybody contributes. We're going to be hopefully doing the outreach as well. So it's only a team of 2, and with me 3. But we're bringing in more people. We're trying to bring as many as we can. We're very limited in that capacity, but that doesn't stop us from reaching everyone. So absolutely, I would love to touch base with you as well. Again, the board has my information. I'm going to be in and out a lot in Bushwick. You're going to be seeing me and Estella, but absolutely, we are going to try to do even more outreach, and the more the merrier, and we could definitely tackle this. It's just we're a very small team, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. So definitely reach out to Ms. Celeste or Mr. Camacho, and we could also talk. Sorry.
Excuse me, Celeste, the person who had their hand raised previously is Milagros, not Marisol. I'm sorry, I
Okay.
mispronounced the name, so maybe she wants to ask a question.
Thank you, Joanna. So Milagros, and then we have Raul no, Millie, that was not you?
Yeah, it's me. It's Milagros. It's me. I think
Okay, yeah, I can't see from far away, so I rely on folks that can see the Zoom screen. But go ahead, Millie, then we have Raul, then we have to wrap up this item as per Mr. Camacho.
Yes, I am Milagros Sandoval. I am a community board member. I threw my question in the chat, saying that there were so many hands going on. So my question is basically, are the services in the centers free, or do folks need to be insured?
Everything is free, ma'am.
Okay.
As we know, and Dr. McKnight, please tell me or correct me, or I'm gonna get a bill.
Thank you.
Hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Milagros. So many of the services are free, not all of them, but you also have on the site that because it's a federally qualified health center, they are sliding scale and they will enroll you in insurance on your first day so that you can get covered in some format. So everything is either free or very low cost. And then if you don't have insurance, someone helps you register for insurance at the site. And that is Medicaid as well as other forms of insurance. You can also do SNAP enrollment and a number of other things on site. And so the goal of the Bushwick Health Center, and I know we're wrapping up, so I'll just say, one, thank you for all these rich questions, and that the goal of the health center over time with this construction and then future work is to be a health and social services hub, right? And so we want to get as much as we can in that place and space. So even if you have other ideas about things that should be on site, please feel free to share them with Celeste and with Mr. Camacho as we continue advocating for this space to become bigger and better and respond to the needs of Bushwick. But it's been a real pleasure, and thanks for giving our team a chance to connect with you.
Thank you. And we have one final comment question.
Hello, this is Raul Rubio. I'm also with the Department of Health, and as Z mentioned, I'm working with her on this initiative. It's my unit that schedules all the mental health first aid trainings. So if there's anybody that wishes to have a training brought to their church community group, I will train a book club if you can get at least 10 to 20 people into a room. My number is 646-988-8639. That's 646-988-8639. And the same things he said, if you need to get in touch with me, you can contact the community board and then they can pass you on to me, and then you can talk to me directly about making arrangements and working. The trainings are absolutely free to attend and to set up. It's just something that the city is doing to try to end the stigma around mental health. Thank you. Raul Rubio. Sorry.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Dr. McNatt and the Department of Health team for being here. We're certainly excited to continue these conversations and make the most out of our health center. All right, that concludes this public hearing item. We will go ahead and move on to our second agenda item. Do we have Gregory Baggett here? Or any of the tenant leaders from Churches United for Fair Housing regarding the Right to Counsel NYC Coalition?
Yeah, Gregory Baggett is here. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
We have somebody from one of the constituent groups, Dominga Kempis, was waiting to be added as a panelist.
Okay, can you just repeat the name so we can add her?
Dominga Kempis, Kempis.
Okay, she was added, I was just told.
She was, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just get my presentation stack up. Do I have the ability to share my screen?
You should, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Dominga Kempis.
Thank you, ma'am. Could you hold 1 minute? So can you see my screen?
We can. It says it's loading the presentation now.
Okay, so I'll just wait. And maybe I'll do my introductions. My name is Gregory Baggett. I'm the founder of the Apelet Randolph Square Neighborhood Alliance. We're a community planning, community-based organization in Central Harlem. And I'm also a housing consultant and the principal at NYC HDFC. We do advocacy around the city's TIL, HDFC, and ANCP portfolios. Both of my organizations are members of the Right to Counsel coalition. And we're here today to introduce a statewide bill, the statewide Right to Counsel bill. Many of you may already be aware of the local legislation that was passed around Right to Counsel, and I'll get into that in the presentation. We do have a constituent from your community who wanted to share briefly a little background about their own experience in housing court as a resident in Community District 4. And I wanted to have that person open our presentation briefly.
Sure, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Dominga? Let me move forward and I'll send some text to some of the other organizers to see if we can prompt a response. So who are the Right to Counsel Coalition? The Right to Counsel Coalition started—
Mr. Baggett, excuse me, for whatever reason, we're not able to see the presentation. It still says loading on our end. So I'm not sure if you're seeing something different on your screen. So, but it just says loading.
Yeah, I'm seeing the presentation. It's, let me see. No, it says something like my share screening is paused. I'm not sure. Is that, let me see. Maybe that's something I've done.
We were able to see it before, but now it's just blank. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me go. Let me see if I can stop sharing and start again. So what about now?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Okay.
All right. Yes, we can see it now.
Okay.
And whenever you hit that second button, we can no longer see it.
Okay.
So when you went to, I guess, share it from a different view, we aren't able to see it anymore.
I guess trying to cut out all of the additional content is the problem. Let's see. Well, I guess I'll just have to roll with all of the extraneous information if you don't mind.
Not at all.
You can see it now.
Not just yet.
Oh,
Hopefully it'll
okay.
pop up momentarily.
Here we go.
All right, we can see it now.
Okay. I'm just going to try to see if I could go to the slideshow. So we're good,
yep,
right?
We are there. We can see it.
Okay, great. I call this the momentum of technology. So a little bit about who are the Right to Counsel Coalition. The Right to Counsel Coalition is a tenant-led coalition that was formed in 2014 to change the way housing courts work to help prevent displacement and stop needless evictions. The group consists of tenants, housing organizers and advocates, legal service organizations and providers, faith leaders, unions, and we've even included landlords in the coalition recently. More importantly, owners of small property who are also beneficiaries of this bill. In 2017, after a 3-year grassroots campaign that many of you may know about, the Right to Counsel Coalition became law in New York City, making the city the first place in the country to establish a right to counsel for low-income tenants facing eviction. So after the historic victory in 2017, the coalition launched a statewide campaign to transform courts across New York. And let me just say as an aside, one of the primary reasons why this is important that this local law becomes state law is because at the end of the day, the local laws have very little enforcement power, if any, over the courts. And more important than that issue is that it doesn't look like the city has the will to actually fully fund right to counsel. So having a statewide budget would actually allow the local law to operate much more effectively and provide direct enforcement legislative power to the courts to actually enforce. Many people look at housing courts as eviction machines. Unlike New York City, in most housing courts throughout the state, those courts are actually called eviction courts. And oftentimes the courts are involved with evicting working class and poor people largely because they don't have proper legal representation. And it doesn't have to be that way. Our coalition is fighting to hold both the landlords and the courts accountable and to uphold the rights of tenants and small property owners. In this campaign, our priority legislation is the State Right Counsel Bill, Senate 2120, 2721, and the Assembly Bill 1493. Now, you might be wondering how New York City residents would be affected by the statewide right to counsel bill. We really need this bill in New York City. Our local bill, known as Local Law 54, is income capped. But the statewide bill would cover everyone. That it would be, everyone would have universal access to right to counsel, but of course there would be administrative guideposts put up to assure that those resources are going to deserving tenants and small landlords. So essentially, we are proposing to extend the right to counsel to over 200,000 New Yorkers who currently don't have access to counsel. Our local bill covers formal eviction proceedings when landlords sue tenants, but the statewide bill seeks to take into account the many ways landlords evict tenants outside these proceedings, such as illegal lockouts, failing to make repairs, and other forms of harassment. So the state bill covers any case where someone is at risk of being displaced. And finally, the statewide right to counsel bill mandates that courts notify tenants of this crucial right to an attorney. It makes sure that the courts have the resources to connect respondents to attorneys, and it mandates the necessary case adjournments that tenants need in order to acquire competent representation. New Yorkers across the state need this bill for various reasons. One, there are nearly 160,000 active eviction cases across New York City. 92,000 cases where New Yorkers are experiencing homeless. And the majority of these cases are initiated by landlords, and almost all landlords have lawyers in eviction cases, while most tenants do not. And as someone who works from the vantage point of the courts, not as a lawyer, but what we do at our organization is this, it's almost like engaged in symptomatic advocacy of attempting to give people all the resources they need to avoid having their case move from the pretrial section to the trial section. Because once the case moves to the trial section, it's very difficult to bring in competent, free representation. And then at the same time, it's very difficult for the courts to continue offer tenants the adjournments they need when there's no legislation directing them to do so. So,
Mr. Baggett, excuse me, respectfully, we do have limited time for this public hearing item. I know you still have a tenant that wants to share their experience. And we want to make sure there's enough time for Q&A. So if you can just give us the broad level highlights and we can move it along. Thank you.
Sure, thank you so much. I was wondering about time as I was talking. I think I've given you the global issues that are at stake here. The main issue is that we have a local bill that has the potential to protect New York City tenants and improve the way in which housing courts work. Because ultimately the court is ineffective when in fact the judge has to play advocacy for tenants that are operating at a pro se respondents. We need the state budget money to fulfill the expectations of the local law. And we also need the state law to provide the enforcement language that will then help give the administrative judges the directives to send to the judges in the courtrooms. So I'm wondering if Domingo is ready to speak. I didn't get any response from our team. If not, I'll just move to questions.
Okay, well, apparently she's there. Whenever she would like to speak, more than welcome to do so. But if you want to just start with questions and answers now, we can always just go back.
Sure, that's fine with me.
All right, board members, any questions? Okay, I hear there's two, not sure who yet. I don't. Mr. Baggett, if you wouldn't mind, stop sharing your screen so I can see who's asking questions.
Yeah, let me figure that out.
Jessica is asking questions, has her hand raised.
Okay, go ahead, Jessica. Thank you, Joanna.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I have a question. Let me just pull up my notes. So you mentioned the housing courts must change, and then you also mentioned that the court should hold landlords more accountable. And I do agree with that, but I also think that it should go beyond the court, where judges are merely following precedent or the law to the best of their ability. So maybe landlords should be held more accountable through legislation where for example, in policies regarding maintaining, repairing, controlling, managing properties that they hold or house tenants in. So not necessarily a question, but more so a general comment that I do hope to bring up to the board or my specific committee. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that comment. The comment affirms something that an administrative judge told me back when we were doing the ERAP hearings, and I was talking to her about the inability of the courts to do certain things that they may know might be in the right direction. And her response to me is, we need the legislators to provide us with the legislation so that we can do this type of work. And so this statewide bill is exactly that, in the sense that once a tenant is properly represented and has proper and competent legal representation, then all of those tenants' rights would be protected by the person that's representing them. And at the same time, the experience in the courtroom would be more equitable and fair for all parties involved, including the tenants, the plaintiffs, and specifically the court and judges and staff.
Caitlin has
I
her
see.
hand raised.
Thank you. And then Cassandra, and then I'm not sure who's after that.
Caitlin.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Ann Guiney, Chair of the Housing and Land Use Committee. One of Mr. Baggett's colleagues, this is more of a comment about getting more of this information after, just in part referring to the question Arabia asked in the chat. We had a March presentation in the Housing and Land Use Committee, and there were a lot of questions that your colleague or coalition member, Katie Lassell, and the notes are terrific. Shout out to Christian Celeste Tate, where there are actual, questions and answers, and a presentation as well. I'm guessing Mr. Baggett's presentation will be also available in the committee material, in the community board materials, and then the whole videos on YouTube. But because it's a compressed time, I want to refer folks to the March Housing and Land Use Committee meeting notes, which have some really good information on exactly this issue. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you very much for the invitation to present at the committee. And we're more than thankful for the opportunity to present at a general meeting where we have an opportunity to discuss these ideas with constituents who might not attend the committee meetings. I didn't attend the committee meeting, but I heard it was robust and everyone seemed to be very deeply informed and concerned about what we were proposing. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Okay, next Cassandra, then Caitlin.
Hi, Cassandra, community board member. I am wondering, what is your goal to get this bill passed in this legislative session? Because I don't know how much time we have left or in the session before it goes on recess. And what can community board members do to help get the word out about this?
Well, thank you so much. Listen, we're always looking for people to become a part of the Right to Counsel Coalition, and I'll put my email in the chat if you ever want to get more deeply involved with the work. But from the vantage point of what's happening in terms of the legislation, now we all know that Senator Krueger proposed a very unique resolution to some conflict that was happening in Albany, where most of the, not just, housing and tenant related stuff, but real estate matters and other, really big ticket issues were all tabled because there was so much of a contest of power over these various housing issues. And so I don't think there is any chance that any of this legislation is going to be in the current budget. But what we are planning to do is to get community board support citywide, because the campaign is not a one-year campaign seeking to, kind of get a bill passed and then fold up our tents. If the bill were to pass this legislative session, there would still be a 5-year period of actually building up to secure the capacity to realize the proposals that we're talking about. And, to be honest, I don't like to make a lot of direct conclusions about the ideas proposed in a bill versus the legislation that actually comes out, and then the interpretation of that legislation that happens in the administration of the bill. And so this is a long-term strategy. We're looking at anywhere going out from 5 years before Right to Counsel will be up and running. And so we are still working, even though we don't think there's anything coming in terms of a passage of this aspect of the bill during this term. We're still going to be meeting with Liz Kruger and continuing our advocacy at the level of the community board to secure more support once housing negotiations open up once session ends.
Barbara Smith.
Thank you. But we have Caitlin first. She's been waiting in the stack. Oh, she asked a question. Thank you, Kim. Kim just clarified. Barbara, and then we have to wrap up this item as per Mr. Camacho.
So how do you and your, hi, Barbara Smith, how do you and your team get paid? You get paid by the hour, the day, or the case?
So we're the Right to Counsel Coalition. So most of us are members of community-based organizations. There is a senior leadership amongst the Right to Counsel that gets paid, but I'm wondering if you're asking me about how the legal service providers are being paid or the organizers. I'm not sure what.
You said you have a team that works with you on different cases?
Oh, you're talking about with my group.
Yeah, so how do they get paid? Are they volunteers or what?
No, we work with lawyers who provide pro bono services to clients in our group, which is separate and apart from the Right to Counsel Coalition. In fact, we are happy to have the resources from pro bono legal organizations. However, those organizations mostly are not part of the housing coalition. They could be any type of law firm that may be willing to commit a certain amount of free lawyering services to community-based organizations. So that's that was just part of who I am, not necessarily who the coalition is.
All right, thank you. And thank you everyone for your questions this evening. This conversation will be ongoing. If you did not get to make a comment, please feel free to reach out to the board's office. Kim will drop our info in the chat if it's not already there. And thank you, Mr. Baggett. And, we welcome you to join us again in the future, to share the testimonial. I know we didn't get to that this evening, but there will be other opportunities. We thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much. And I'll have our senior leadership follow up with the housing chair and the district manager. Thank you so much.
Excellent. All right. We will now close out the public hearing agenda and we'll move on to our regular meeting agenda. Okay, we're doing something a little bit different, folks. Before we go right into the first roll call, Mr. Camacho would like to read some opening remarks.
Yes, I chairperson, call the meeting to order. This meeting of the Community Board 4 is called to order on May 17th at 7:04 p.m. on the applicant status of the New York State, the Charter of New York, the Board of Bylaws, and Robert Rules of Order. The board policy is to encourage detailed public discussions of the matter before the board at our committee meetings and our public hearing, consequently except by board members. There will be no public discussion at the regular monthly meeting of the matter about which a public hearing or a committee meeting had already heard. Specific service deliveries requests or complaints should be brought to the attention of the district office staff by calling 718-628-8400 during regular business hours from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or by email or visiting the website anytime. Our first roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Board members, please be ready. May I have the attendance sheet, please? All right. Isa Abni,
Present.
Stephanie Anderson is excused. Joanna Bennett,
Present.
Joshua Brown, Makiba Brown.
Present.
Got you, Josh. Raul Brown,
Present.
Robert Camacho. Present in person. Melissa Carrera Solano is excused. Felix Ceballos.
Present.
Christian C. Tate. Andrew Choi.
Present.
Elvina Davis.
Present.
Jasmine de Santiago Diaz. Cecilia Fabian. Okay. Freddie Fowler. Should have called in. We can double check the phones. Oh, Mr. Fowler is here. Let's make sure he can speak if he needs to. Joanna Fuentes.
Present.
Christopher Graham.
Present.
Ann Guiney.
Sorry, present.
Zachary. Gotcha, Ann. Zachary Hendrickson. Tanisha Honeygan.
Present.
Barbara Jackson. Present in person. Kaishia Johnson.
Present.
Virgie Jones.
Present.
Tara Jones Thomas.
Present.
Luisa Jose. Nicholas Kaplan.
Present.
Cassandra LeVay.
Here.
Got you. Edward Kopp. Christine Malden.
Present.
Raman Mama. Mary McClellan. Imani Mitchell.
Present.
Desmond Monroe.
Present.
Got you, Desmond. Zuma Novoa.
Present.
Levi Orenstein Wolf.
Present.
Caitlin Penner.
Present.
Asaya Polite. Bayan Price. Please let me know if I pronounce any names wrong, folks. We have a few new board members. Bayan Price. Raul Rubio.
Present on your right.
Present in person. Eliseo Ruiz.
Here.
Milagro Sandoval.
Present.
Bernadine Rochelle.
Present.
Barbara Smith.
Present.
Maria Soler.
Present.
Dustin Sonborn. Annette Spellin.
Present.
Present.
James Stewart. Oh, got you, Dustin. James Stewart.
Present.
Got you. Jessica Tiburcio.
Here.
Ben Tucker. Jerry Valentine.
Present.
Tashana Wade.
Present. Did you hear me?
Yeah, yes, got you, Tashana. Thank you. 40 board members present. That constitutes a quorum. Thank you, everyone. We'll move on now to the acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion from the board? Ms. Raul Rubio makes a motion. Second by Barbara Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
Aye.
abstentions? So moved. Agenda item number 3, acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. A motion from the board. Barbara Jackson makes a motion. Raul Rubio
Second.
seconds. They're on fire here in person, guys. Got to wake up on Zoom. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, everyone. There were none opposed, no abstentions. I was out of order. I was moving too fast that time. So moved. All right. Agenda item number 4, Chairperson's report, Mr. Camacho.
Thank you, Celeste. Well, thank you all board members and new members. Welcome aboard. We got a lot of work to do. So on Thursday, April 20th at 11, CB4 meeting with the Sandy nurse in regards to our budget. Celeste will fill you in on the info. That same Thursday, the 20th at 6 p.m. The TA meeting at Hope Garden. On Hope Garden, Friday the 21st, CB4 check-in. I go every Friday. Celeste makes me go there and make sure that the signatures are all good for the block party, because what they're doing now is we need to let everyone know that just because you pay it online or you put the date online doesn't mean that you're going to get that date. NYPD only gave 5 block parties only. And once those block parties are filled in, that's it, you can't get it. But if you don't bring the signatures in with the people that live around your area, you ain't getting that date. So if you don't bring that signature to the community board's office and we don't verify that those people live adjacent and are putting in for that block party, you will not be having a block party. And you will be losing your $25. So if I were you, I'll make sure I bring that thing in there, because we are tight with PD2 in regards to them being short and trying to create more block parties when they know they're not supposed to. Saturday, 22nd, I went to the open street event. We have the gentleman here from the open street event. He's willing to work with us. That's between Wyckoff and Irving. So please go over there, help out, and come out there and go serve them and help them. They're doing a good job over there and making sure that we get our businesses there. You have people selling clothes and you have them doing good things over there, and they're giving back. So they're running it on the not-for-profit that they just established. So we want to support them. On the April 24th, on Monday, there was the co-naming of PS45 into Harvesty Green. I was in under the ribbon cutting ceremony that same day. That Monday at 11:30, CB4 met with Jennifer Gutierrez, the council person, in regards to the budget, to the new budget that's supposed to be coming out. On that 24th at 6 o'clock, the Youth and Education Committee. So that day I was very busy. On Tuesday, the CEC from 9 to 1, the resource fair at PS45 at the district office. That same Tuesday, the 25th, the youth summit that Riseboro, that Hope Garden had at 85 Palmetto. It was very well attended. A lot of kids came down. They brought information in. Hopefully, we can get them some time at 422 Central to do what they have to do. Tuesday, the 25th, CB4 Housing and Land Use Committee. That Thursday, the 27th, CB4 Bushwick event. That Thursday, the 27th, 1139 Bushwick Avenue Youth Summit with the YCO, the Cooper Block Association at Ujima and Hope Garden. On Friday, the 28th, or 12 p.m. walkthrough on Halsey Street between Irving and Wyckoff. On Monday, May 1st, a Zoom meeting with all the elected officials. As you know, Hope Garden got flooded again. I just have a little breakdown that they gave me. I'm gonna go through it real quick. We have 7 buildings that lost heat. 357 Wilson Avenue, 339 Wilson, permanent boiler restored, 670 Evergreen, 1280 Evergreen. Temporary boilers providing heat. and heaters installed and provide heat at 210 Palmetto, 309 Wilson, and 440 Central. So with that flood, we had a lot of flood conditions in Hope Garden again. So hopefully we're trying to see if they can get funding to put it up on the roofs, the boilers, because something needs to go be happening in that area. On Tuesday from 10 to 11, a press conference with our Congresswoman Sandy Nurse in regards to the lead paint that everybody knows that Tony's been writing about on the train station and the plaza. So we want to make sure that that's taken care of. On Tuesday, 1 p.m., a meeting with the YCOs and Ujima about the block party that's going to happen on June 29th, that Thursday. It's going to be between Manningham and Wilson. It's on Manningham between Knickerbocker and Wilson. On Tuesday, 4 p.m., I went to a wake at St. Nicholas of Funeral. Our ex-board member passed away. Diane Mitchell, a longtime board member. Remember her, a long time, beautiful woman. God bless her and keep her in our prayers. On Tuesday at 6 p.m., Borough Hall meeting, community district need, civil engagement. On Wednesday, the 3rd, CB4 Executive Board. On Thursday, May 4th, again, swearing in to all the board members that were sworn in. I saw y'all, all of y'all there. Thank you. We're gonna have a little, I had a little concern about what the attorney from Borough Hall made, that the chair is not a voting member, which is absolutely not true. And I read it and I confirmed it with them, and it's in the city charter, and I highlighted them. So there will be, I don't think they like the idea of me telling them that, but yes, I am a board member, and not only for to break the tie, but I am a voting member. Friday the 5th at 9, the RAD Hope Garden. It's a pretty good meeting. Celeste was there to fill you in on the details in regards to the RAD on Friday, May 5th at 1 o'clock. Check in again, signing block party notices with my boss over here. On Tuesday the 9th at 3 p.m. The People's Money is, I know we had it on it, some flyers here with Appointe. We voting for some money that are coming into some of the district. There's different topics. You vote on it, so we want to try to get. I know someone got 7,000 in a week. We want to try to get 10, right? It's about 10,000. So we might do it in a little more than a week, but we want to get a little more than 10,000. So on Tuesday the 9th, CB4 Economic Development and Permits and License. On Wednesday the 10th, CB4 District Service Cabinet. On Wednesday the 10th at 6 o'clock, a town hall meeting at PS 157 on Knickerbocker with Councilwoman Sandy Nurse in regards to the park. Our chairperson for parks will fill us in on that. On Thursday, May 11 at 6 p.m. Health, Hospital, and Human Services and Veteran Senior. On Friday the 12th at 12 o'clock, another check-in CB4, which is that Friday, to make sure we get the block parties checked in. On Tuesday, May 16 at 10 p.m., the Bushwick Community Partners at 422 Central. That same Tuesday, the 16th at 6:30, the 8th Precinct Council. On Wednesday, which is today, at 10, the 8th Precinct Clergy meeting, and today CB4. And that is the end. So point to finish it, but thank you.
An excellent report. Thank you, Mr. Camacho. You summarized that really well. Any questions for Mr. Camacho on his report? All right. Hearing none.
I have one
seeing none.
question.
Oh, go ahead, Raul.
It's
Oh,
Desmond.
sorry, Desmond. I couldn't see the screen.
I was with Mr. Camacho at the swearing in, and I think I brought it up to Kimberly, and I don't know if they sent them to you guys yet. The attorney Greg kept mentioning that there were 36 mandatory rules for community board members, and I've been on here for God knows how long, and I've never gotten a thing that says these are 36 rules you must do. So I was wondering if we had any clarification on that.
So we haven't gotten a list of the 36 things either. I called Borough Hall the very next day. They said we will send it sometime before the end of May. Everything is in the charter. They were unsure why everyone was confused about it. So, but hopefully they will send me something more specific, including the presentation for all of the board members to review. I see, does that answer your question, Desmond?
I don't know about
Yes, it does.
36 neither, but we'll fill you in. If I find 36, maybe we'll add one more in there, which is 37. We need to know.
All right. All right. Thanks, Desmond. Cassandra?
This is just a question about block parties. When you apply for a block party, do you do that with DOT? Because of streets. And my second question is what is the time period that you can reserve a street for?
So just some quick guidance for block parties. Anyone can submit a block party application through the Mayor's Street Activity Permit Office. This also applies for street events, street festivals, health fairs, anything that you want to have on the street would go through the Mayor's Street Activities Permits Office, also known as SAPO, S-A-P-O. You have to apply 60 days in advance. For the majority of block parties, everyone wants a Saturday. All of the Saturdays, the end of July, the end of August, most of July and August in general are already booked because they're only 5 per day. So if you're interested in having a block party, Sundays are very flexible right now, but you would have to contact the board's office for more information to confirm your date. I highly recommend that before applying online, because as Mr. Camacho said, if you apply online, you did not confirm the date and other people have already applied and been approved, then you will not be approved for the block party. Okay, and Kim dropped some info in the chat. And then just in terms of the time, the duration, I believe it's only a few hours set periods during the day. So from like 11 to 7, all block parties must end by 8 p.m. There's no such thing as a block party till 11, till 10, 8 p.m. is the deadline.
Thank you, Celeste.
And I know also that we're supposed to be meeting with all the block parties. We're supposed to be setting up a meeting with the precinct. We don't know. I know he was here, but the inspector's not here. But we're going to be meeting all the people that fill in the applications, that fill in the permits are going to get an invite, and we're going to tell them in regards to what not to have their cars blocking. They would have a cone or something, because if there's an emergency and you go look for the car to be open, it's going to be a problem to get into the block. So do we want to make sure that we know who's going to be responsible, and at the end of the day to make sure that they close. I normally go out to some of these block parties and check in with the people, so we want to make sure that everyone's safe, and that as you know, when the officers do go by, to make sure that they close at the right time that they're supposed to be closing, and not a minute over or 2 minutes over.
And the meeting Mr. Camacho is referencing, prior to the pandemic, every year the precinct would host a meeting with the block associations in particular. Not every block that has a block party has a block association, a formal one at the very least, but they are encouraged to do so. In order to form a block association, I get this question often, please contact the 8-3 Precinct Community Affairs Unit. That's either Officer Oscar Lopez or Ezequiel Gomez. If you need more info on how to reach them, you can always contact the board's office.
And also you got to remember that they do work out of the precinct, but they're not ours. They created a new borough something that they're supposed to be doing in regards. So they're not ours. They go all over. So you got to give them time to get back to you. If not, we'll follow up with them.
All right, James had a question.
Yeah, I put it in the chat because I noticed on my block parties, and there was one on my block this past Saturday, and I know that I didn't sign, and there was complaints from people on the block that they didn't sign as well. And then there was a question posed about, are there certain block restrictions or blocks that are restricted from having block parties?
So what I'm going to do, just to make sure we have all the information, is take a look at our records, because are you talking about Himrod Harmon? Remind me.
Yes. Yeah. Hemrock.
Okay,
Hemrock, yeah.
let's touch base tomorrow so we can go through our records to see, because I don't remember off the top of my head who registered, but we can take a look at what we received. And if we didn't receive anything, then that block may not be able to have a block party for a while.
Okay, thank you.
Not only that, sometimes PD close it on their own. So if they go to them and put it in, so we wouldn't know if they went with them, through them, and or through SAPO. So we wouldn't know. Sometimes they have their own. So I know that some churches, or some of the times when they do activities, they go around themselves and close it themselves and also be present. So maybe they went to the precinct and did it with them in adjacent. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Metro.
Yeah.
We have we'll get more info to confirm. And we have a question in person. Oh, let's get you a mic really quick so folks can hear you. One moment, please.
Okay. I'm Cecilia Fabian. I am a resident in this area. My question is in regard to the block parties. When you are in a main street, is there a possibility or is there any other options? I'm wondering, I am in the main street on Bushwick Avenue. My church across the street does a main event, but we are never able to do anything in there. So
if you've never been able to do anything, nothing has changed. If you would like to confirm that again, we can look into it. I wouldn't be able to say without verifying with the 83rd precinct, but we can follow up.
Okay. Jessica has her hand raised.
Go ahead. Thank you, Joanna. Go ahead, Jessica.
Hello again, everyone. Jessica, community board member. I have two questions. The first one is, I do see the link for the block party registration, but I don't know if there's a link circulating for the actual block party where, community members could find the address, for example, or share it with others.
No, that link does not exist.
Okay. I think it would be
up to the block association to share their events. Some do, some do not, because sometimes they keep it to their block. But all block parties are open to the public. Street events, health fairs, those types of events, we do get information on a flyer, but there's no one specific link where you would be able to view all of the events that are happening. But I'm happy to provide more info if anyone wants to reach out to the office.
Okay, thank you. I do understand that, it's difficult to surveil those who sign up and those who don't register, who don't promote it through the link. The second question is whether there are other links or a newsletter where we could provide community members or attendees of these meetings, whoever's individual email we have signed up for and with, if we could send them links for Right to Counsel Coalition links or other resources that they could have access to. I know there were others circulating for doula programs and such. So I just want to know if we're including those in newsletters to the public.
It's a great question. The board has two newsletters. One goes out at the beginning of the month. It's the meetings newsletter that includes all the meetings, committee meetings, the full board meeting for the month. And the second week of the month, we have the monthly newsletter, which includes the details for this meeting. I encourage everyone, new board members, any board members that are on the board for a while that haven't joined the email list, and community members as well, please join the board's email list for more information.
Thank you for sharing that.
All right. I don't see any other hands. Nothing else. Oh, we have someone here in person. Let's just make sure you have a mic. It's coming to you.
Grace and peace, everyone. My question is for the $25 fee. For the block party, when is that fee due? Or when is the deadline for the fee and to sign up for the block party?
So do you mind sharing with us who you are really quick?
I'm sorry. I'm Pastor Princess Walker, and the name of my ministry is Kingdom of Infinity Ministries. And I was invited here today by Miss Annette. Is it Spellman? Spelling, Miss Annette Spelling. Hi, Miss Annette. And I attended the clergy council meeting this morning, as well as the community meeting on last evening at the 83rd precinct. And I've been in the community for a little bit over a year now, and I'm also the chair lady of New York Communities for Change for the Bushwick, Williamsburg, and Bed-Stuy chapter.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us this evening. It's a
Thank you
busy
for
community
coming,
meeting week.
Pastor. This is Annette. Thank you for coming.
All right, so to answer your question, so whenever you're applying for a block party, what happens when you contact the board's office, we do several things. We check the maps to see if the date is still available. Once we confirm that date, we make sure whether it's by email or in person, you have a fact sheet that has all the information you need to apply online. So it details exactly how to submit that payment. When you go on, you apply. At the very end, you're going to be prompted to pay the $25 fee. So it's essentially, you should do it in that order. Some people like to go on, pick a date randomly, but we like to discourage that just to make sure you can get a date that actually works and is available. So if you have any questions about that process or would like to see what dates are still available for this summer, you can always contact me in the board's office. All right, very welcome. All right, anything else in the chat? All right, we will move on now. We have our introduction of elected officials, representatives. Please raise your hands so we know who's here. If there's anyone, we have some folks in person as well. We'll go ahead and start with folks in person. Wait for the mic, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maria Valdez from the Office of Senator Salazar, 212 Evergreen Avenue, phone number 718-573-1726.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fran. I'm from the Office of Councilmember Sandy Nurse. Our phone number is 718-642-8664, and we're located at 56 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Thank you. All right, I see the Borough President's office.
Hi, everyone, Lacey Tauber from Brooklyn Borough President Reynoso's office. Big welcome to all the new members, and I'll put my info in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you. Councilmember, sorry about that, folks. Councilmember Gutierrez's office.
Hey everyone, Juan Mayon Senator here from Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez's office. I'll put all my information on the chat.
Okay, thank you. Oh yeah. So Mr. Camacho was asking me if so Lacey, this was actually, Mr. Camacho just reminded me, we wanted to say thank you to Bridget Geary from Borough Hall. We, like that Zoom apocalypse situation I told you about, Bridget really came through for us and made sure that we knew how to pay for Zoom. And so we just wanted to say thank you. We're probably going to get her flowers in a fruit basket at some point. So we really
I love
appreciate
that. I don't think she's allowed to take flowers or a fruit basket, but I will pass along your.
It's okay. I'll tell her thank you. Give a big hug and a kiss. Tell her thank you. Because we were pulling our hair. It wasn't good to just be 20 minutes shut off and then get back on an hour. It was, but she helped us and she got us through and make sure that we get our services. Thank you. I know Celeste was calling me every day, driving me crazy.
We made it through. Thank you. All right. I see the controller's office.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Ed Sen, Brooklyn Borough Director of our Public Affairs Unit from the Comptroller's Office. I'll share my contact info in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see no other hands for elected officials, but we do have agency reps. All right. Let's see, for agency reps, I see Department of Buildings.
Hi, good evening. This is Damaris Falero from Department of Buildings, Community Engagement and Programming. I will be putting my information in the chat. Are we making any announcements at this time or at the end?
Just contact info right
Just
now,
contact.
but
Okay,
thank you.
no problem.
Yep.
Thanks.
And next we have Department of Health, Mental Hygiene.
Hi, John. This is Raul Rubio again from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. As I said, I'm doing the mental health first aid. Again, my number is 64788. 8639. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other agencies or community-based organization reps on with us this evening? Going once, going twice. If we missed you now, there will be an opportunity later during announcements to introduce yourself and share any updates. All right. And I don't believe do we have anyone from the 8-3 precinct on this evening? All right.
Oscar was here. He stepped out. He had to go because, they work out of the borough. So, and the inspector is out on a training. So we don't have anyone in.
All right, so we will just keep this meeting moving right along and we will go down to the district manager's report, which is my report. Bear with me one moment while I pull up my notes. So good evening, everyone. Happy Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. A district office update. We are still short-staffed with limited capacity. We say this often on phone calls. We are hoping to hire someone, I would say early next fiscal year. Before we get there, we are very appreciative of the board and also the Office of Management and Budget for processing both merit increases that the board approved last month. So thank you to everyone. We were able to get that information in and processed. We also appreciate them for making sure we can spend the funds that we have to purchase Zoom. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, folks, and we're happy to have the support from agency partners as well as from the board. More information for the vacant position in the office will be available before the end of this month. We will likely be looking for a community associate to fill that vacant position. For any questions, please refer them to the board's office. And I would say it again, I will keep saying it. Thank you to the board members and non-board committee members for your support with meeting reports and everything else. We truly appreciate it. And below are the meetings and events I attended in the past month. Mr. Camacho has spoken about some of these already, so I will paraphrase. Just to touch base on both meetings with the council members, they were separate meetings with each member in reference to budget priorities. Some board members may recall every year we go through the list of budget requests. What we usually do with both council members is go through the top 5 or top 10, whichever ones are relevant to their district. And we ask for them to provide updates on the status from their end on what will be funded. So we'll be happy to report more on that as we continue with this budget cycle. And we encourage everyone to get involved in the board's budget process. We usually have this in August, I would say August to October. So more information is forthcoming. And let's see. I've also attended the Bushwick Historic Preservation Association. They are in the 6 to Celebrate program. Some folks may have heard, but Bushwick, within the past couple of weeks, I think it was last week, actually got its first historic district. Congratulations to everyone. First historic district. So now we have individual landmarks and a historic district, and the group continues to advocate to preserve the historic culture within Bushwick and to make sure it's not erased. And we had, let's see, there are different types of informational meetings that I attend. Con Edison hosts community resource conferences every season. We also do a lot of behind the scenes work to make sure we can continue operating smoothly. I speak to staff at the Office of Technology and Innovation fairly often. I also attended on Wednesday, April 26th, a Mutual Housing Association of New York Landlord Ambassador webinar. I encourage all small homeowners to look into this program. It is extremely helpful. They talk about different types of grants that are available to small homeowners, different types of support that are available to small homeowners. We will certainly be making more information available as it's shared with us. And I also attended on Friday, April 28th, a walkthrough on Halsey Street with DOT and the NYPD, the 8-3 precinct. Mr. Camacho was there as well. We talked a little bit about the bus route, how the street's very narrow and there are a lot of cars that park half on the sidewalk, half on the street. They have already changed signage between Wyckoff to Irving. So that was fairly easy to update. They made sure it was consistent, alternate side parking signage. They removed some no parking signage. So if you've noticed the street looking a little bit differently, that's why. But from Irving all the way down to Central, and they will be exploring this further down to Broadway, there's interest in turning Halsey Street potentially into a one-way. So that would require significant changes. I heard from a board member that this came before the board a while ago. In order for that to happen, there has to be a committee conversation. There has to be community support. And then, of course, DOT would have to ask the MTA to do a study to see if it's feasible to even change that since it's the B26 route. So there will be more on that, hopefully within the next month or so.
And to be a devil's advocate, if we don't then they're gonna try to eliminate one side, then there'll be no parking. So be careful what you wish for. Okay, so it's a two-way street. So if you make it one way, you have both street can have, at one time you can't go out another, and at another time you can't go. But eventually one side is gonna be completely, and then guess what? Y'all gonna complain that we don't got no parking because you took away one side of the street. So it's either better to create one way and have parking and see if we can get the bus to go one way, and one way coming back. We're just throwing it out there. It's not nothing, but we really need, because it's too close, and the buses and double park cars and everything, they can't, believe me, it's really, we were trying, we were out there close to 2 or 3 hours, so we were trying to put our heads together and find out what is it that can make it work. So hopefully we can, if it doesn't, and they turn around and eliminate one side, then everybody say no about one way, but you get rid of one spot and then you don't have any parking. So
it's an ongoing conversation. There are no formal proposals yet. This is merely a suggestion that will be explored on the committee level. And on Monday, May 1st, I was a part of a Future of Community Boards working group meeting. This includes district managers and community board staff citywide. We have discussed with the Department of City Planning the Statement of Community District Needs debrief. So every year the boards submit their budget requests and a report that accompanies that. That's the Statement of Community District Needs. They are also talking about redesigning the platform that we use for those submissions. It was a very comprehensive update. I'm happy to continue participating in the group and helping facilitate those meetings. They're tremendously helpful. And Mr. Camacho mentioned the meeting to discuss Hope Gardens flooding with local elected officials. Folks are aware, right, that long-term planning is needed to do capital projects. There's no such thing as repairing a sewer or making it bigger overnight. Those projects takes 5 to 10 years. But we also know the rain isn't stopping or waiting 5 to 10 years. So what are we going to do in the meantime? We made sure that it was very clear that we need short-term, options, short-term tools. The council member hosted a flood barrier event, so some folks got flood barriers. There are different types of resources and tools. I hope we have a conversation about rain barrel giveaways very soon with the Department of Environmental Protection to see how we can continue mitigating some of those challenges. But it's one of those things where we have to get really creative to offset some of that extra rain. And Hope Gardens is continuing to do the work that they need to do to protect those buildings. It's an ongoing conversation. And I've checked in we have 2 fellows this year working on different projects, one for economic development, one for sanitation. I checked in with the fellow for the economic development project. They did a commercial retail survey for Myrtle, for Broadway, and for Wyckoff. We had to have them update the cross streets for Myrtle Avenue because they left out a small portion. That's a work in progress. And let's see, Mr. Camacho mentioned participatory budgeting. This is the first time ever citywide that there is participatory budgeting. Bushwick has an opportunity to have different projects. So both on the Bushwick level, Bushwick gets specific funding. I believe, how many projects are there for Bushwick? We 5. Did we narrow it down to 5? Mr. Camacho has the ballot. So we worked really hard, folks. There were 30 ideas. We narrowed it down to 11, and then we got to how many?
And then 5.
And then we got down to 5. And so each of these projects are eligible to get $50,000. And just to give you an example of what's on here, if you haven't voted yet, cultural cooking classes, women's period health, mental and physical health resources, youth job preparation and financial literacy, and youth civic engagement initiative. So please check it out. There's a whole other ballot for the borough, for Brooklyn at large. So we encourage you to vote to make sure we can get some more resources and programming for the district. And on Wednesday, May 10th, we had our district service cabinet meeting. It's always well attended. We thank all of our agency partners. NYPD 8-3 Precinct Community Affairs was there, Councilmember Nurse's office, Health Hospitals, Woodhall, National Grid, Senator Julia Salazar's office, Department of Education District 32 office, Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez's office, the Brooklyn DA's office, NYC Aging, Department of Social Services, Department of Homeless Services, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, Con Edison, and the Brooklyn Borough President's office. And let's see. And that concludes my report. Thank you, everyone.
And in the Brooklyn, the people's money is $250,000, and in the Bushwick money is $50,000. So one will get 50,000 to do programming, and the other one will get 250,000. And I just wanted, I'm sorry to interrupt, Celeste. I just wanted to let y'all know, there is another location that I know that Troutman, that's the commercial, that they were having issues too, because there's no more commercial over there on Troutman, Irving, Wyckoff. There's no more, there's loading dock, but the hours is different. So hopefully we're gonna go over there and get DOT to address some of those things too over there.
Yeah, any concerns about signage there, if you go to the DOT website or call the board's office, but it is publicly available. You can always go to the DOT's website, contact DOT, specifically write to the Brooklyn Borough Commissioner and submit a request for them to review any type of signage upgrades. We're happy to do that on your behalf as well. Just contact us in the office and we will take a look and follow up with our DOT liaison.
Excuse me,
All right.
Celeste, I want to
Yes.
acknowledge Sandra, a council member, Sandra Nurse is with us.
Oh, thank you, Joanna. Councilmember Nurse, would you like to share a few words?
Yeah, sorry, I just, I had a question or just a comment on your report. Just wanted to share that last spring, we had brought the Halsey Street issue to the Brooklyn Borough Commissioner. We actually walked over there. So hopefully they didn't act brand new. But they did basically propose that something like what is on Cooper Street, north of Broadway, where one side is not, doesn't have parking, that would most likely be what they would end up doing. So as just underscoring what Mr. Camacho said. But additionally, right now, the MTA is undertaking comments for their bus redesign network. They were out of Broadway Junction this last week in person with maps and stuff. So there's still time to provide feedback on the bus network. And that being a bus street, a bus lane would be helpful to give feedback about how that's impacting the residents on that street. So just wanted to share that.
Absolutely. Thank you. All
Esmond
right.
Monroe has his hand raised.
Yep. Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
just had a question. I ran across that article that the MTA, and I think Sandy Nurse just brought up. The MTA is putting in $500 million in investment in the Broadway Junction area. I know a few years ago we had developers come in talking about they want to do something as well, and we were talking about, you know, the things that the community needed, such as trade schools and other things that we would like to see happen in the Broadway Junction development. Besides the MTA's $500 million investment, is there any other thing going on with Broadway Junction that would actually, you know, help us besides updating the transportation? And that could be answered by Sandy Nurse or Celeste, whoever's gotten any information from this project.
I can just share that they did just announce, so Chuck Schumer got the 400 million, and that's for the elevators and escalators. It's for 7 elevators. The Adams administration put 95 million towards a new plaza that will be along Fulton and Van Sinderen. So right when you go outside, and you're walking south, that new building that's going up, it'll have about 3,000 workers from HRA or from downtown Brooklyn that are city workers that will be relocated there. So there's a plaza, but there will be, supposedly there is supposed to be a community visioning, a community engagement process about how that plaza will be developed, because there's other pieces of it, such as pedestrian safety and traffic stuff and some open space things. But we will share that for sure when, as we hear that information. And then as far as any large scale development, there was a pre-application put in by a developer for a set of skyscrapers. That actual ULURP process hasn't started because they haven't begun an actual certification process. So hopefully there's opportunities. Well, I imagine the land use committee is going to be engaged on that front.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if skyscrapers, so they mean they want to do an R10, so in an area contextually doesn't have R10. So are we, I guess that's something for, I could talk to Ann and Celeste about, are we looking at that? Because I mean, that's a tower at that point, if you're R10.
Yeah, and so just a point of clarification for folks that don't know, this is technically outside of the district, so it falls within CB5. So they are not required to come before CB4, but we can absolutely request that they provide information to the board, but only CB5 would be involved in the ULERP process, to my understanding. Okay. Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Desmond. Are there any other questions, comments? Otherwise, we can move on. Okay, I see Cassandra, and then we have an attendee. If folks can drop the questions in the chat, that would be helpful. Go ahead, Cassandra. This is only for board members at the moment, this portion of the meeting. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was wondering, what's an R10? And then my second question is for Sandy Nurse. And I know that Sandy has been advocating about the lead abatement for the MTN and also above Broadway Junction and all the above ground stations. And I think Mr. Camacho also mentioned it in his report this evening earlier. So I guess I was wondering what the status of that particular project was.
I'll just respond quickly to the second question. MTA is currently trying to fulfill a contract to take care of this, is what they've responded with. So they're trying to bring on another contractor to work on the lead in our area. So as soon as we hear more, we'll share.
And to your first question, R10 is due to zoning. There are 3 books that I think last year Celeste sent out to the team. It was what is affordable housing, what is zoning, and what is ULERP. I'm sure if you reach out to the community board, you can get those books again. They're really easy reads. It'll take you maybe an hour or 2 hours to get through them. And it'll teach you everything about the zoning, contextual overlays, what R7A is compared to just R7 regular. So you'll get all that information. But definitely if you're part of community board, but definitely if you're on part of the housing and land use, these are really important books to pick up. So if you don't have them now, I know Celeste sent them out for free. They're from a .org, so we can definitely get them to you.
Yeah, I remember that was from CUP, and I have those books on my bookshelf, so I will definitely revisit those. Thank you, Desmond and Councilmember Nurse.
Yeah, we got to pay for them now. It was free before.
So we'll be ordering some new books. That's what Mr. Camacho was alluding to. So we just have to make sure we have some funds in our budget for the new board members.
Budget, man.
The new board members will all be receiving these books at some point, hopefully before September. All right. We will move on. I don't see any other questions from board members. We will move on now to the committee reports, starting with our joint Youth and Education, Arts, Culture, Technology Committee meeting. Virgie, if you'd like to start us off.
Can you hear me okay?
You're it's a little garbled.
All right,
but
I am
okay,
on Amtrak Auto Train, so if it gets muffled, then I'm gonna ask Desmond to continue on for me. So good afternoon all. So we had our joint meeting on Monday, April 25th. And I'm gonna do my part for the youth and education. So we had a young lady, Miss Jennifer Ziller. She's an assistant principal with the Humanities and Library Services in Clara Barton High School. And she gave us information about the school programming. Those of us who are seasoned, we know about Clara Barton High School in the early 70s and 80s. They had a lot of good programs. And she wanted to just remind us of the different programs that they had. And students will graduate with certifications in the medical field. And it has a history of excellence in Brooklyn with generations of past students now serving in and around the Brooklyn community in various capacities in our hospitals and the medical practices as doctors, nurses, and other medical professions. 6 different programs now that they have: the LPN program, dental assistant, vision technology, medical assistant, nurse assistant, and dental lab technician. And these are for students that are graduating from Clara Barton High School. And she did say that some of the students are working in Woodhall Hospital and Queens County Hospital, and they're working directly with nurses and dentists. They also offer emergency EMT certification for senior year students. Several questions were asked, and she also gave us an informational flyer, which was shared in our monthly newsletter. And thanks, Ms. Bennett, once again. Ms. Camacho asked about, not Ms. Camacho, I'm sorry. Ms. Hunnigan asked about the graduation rate. And she said right now they're about 80% graduation rate, which is good. And thanks to Ms. Bennett, she asked about that would be a good resource for our Shape Up Bushwick, which we know we're having on June 8th. And we've been able to confirm that they will be able to be there and have some flyers. And we're hoping a lot of students will come out. If not, if their parents will get information about it. And that's my report for the youth and education. I don't think I left out anything. And as far as announcements, yes, I mentor organization, which we had them come, I want to say, I think it was last year, or either earlier this year. Right now, the program is in need of volunteers, and we want to help them out as much as we can. Thank you once again, all.
Thanks, Virgie. Dustin? You're muted. All right, we may have to circle back. I'm going to keep us moving along. We can come back to the arts, culture, technology portion if that's okay with all the board members. Can I get a head nod, a yes? Okay, I got a yes in person. Shape Up Bushwick Planning. Ms. Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be brief. Please read the full report. It's time again for our Shape Up Bushwick 2023. Our committee meeting, the last meeting we met on Zoom on Thursday, the 27th at 3 p.m. Our event will be on Thursday, June the 8th, and it will be at Irving Square Park. We will be using the entrance on Warefield between Wilson and Knickerbocker. We do have a rain location just in case the weather doesn't work with us, and that will be at 422 Central Hope Gardens Community Center. Our colors for this year will be navy and white. We will have T-shirts for the volunteers, which will be provided by Broadway Stages. Our event theme is Bushwick, Living Our Best Life. The event will be starting from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our setup time is from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Our cleanup time will be from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. We have the parks permits already. Our honorees, and they have been confirmed. There will be Louis Morales, Sharon Flood, Martha Brown, Barbara Smith, Anita Haynes, and Mr. Camacho. The honorees will be receiving certificates for appreciation for their work and dedication for the Bushwick community. That's including any certificates that are coming from the elected officials. We will definitely have our DJ, and Ms. Virgie Jones had requested that the office do outreach to the daycares and the schools to share the flyer, once it was finalized, which it has been. It is expected that we are going to raffle off 3 bikes and other donated sports equipment. We're asking if there's anyone else that wants to donate any new sports equipment, is more than welcome. There will be the usual tabling and giveaways from the various agencies and organizations. We will have fitness instructors available, and we are still in need of fitness instructors. The Brooklyn Public Library book mobile van is scheduled to be on site. We are asking the board members and guests to share the flyer to family, schools, friends, daycares, etc. You will find the flyer on the newsletter, and the newsletter, you'll find the information for the newsletter in the chat. If you want to participate in the event, please contact the community board at 718-628-8400. And I really would like to thank the office for all their hard work in pulling this together, and especially Kimberly. If anyone is interested in attending the next meeting, it will be on Thursday, May 25th at 3 p.m. And our meeting was adjourned at 3:45. And that is my report.
Thank you. All right, an excellent report.
Thank you.
Any questions from board members? Okay, Kim just dropped a note in the chat that anyone who is planning to table, just a reminder that you have to bring the table and chairs. So that's just for this year still. Table and chairs, you're required to bring them with you. All right. I don't see any other hands from board members, and I don't see anyone in person. We will move on now to housing and
One
land use.
question, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
All right, this is Jessica, community board member. I do have one question for future reference. Could it be possible for us to have community food distributions, for example, at Shape Up events during, well, after 5 p.m. or maybe the weekends for those who do have 9 to 5s like me, unfortunately?
So, I mean, that's really a question for the planning committee. This event's generally during the day because it's Brooklyn Queens Day when a lot of students are out of school. But I'm sure the planning committee can take that into consideration to see what's possible. There are other community partners that host community food distributions at different times of the day. There are also food pantries that have hours that are available at different times, whether it's the morning, the evening, so on and so forth. Anyone that needs more information can always contact our office.
Thank you.
I've resolved my technical difficulties.
All right, perfect. Hello. All right. So we will circle back to our arts, culture, technology portion of that meeting. Dustin, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. We had a great meeting all together with the youth and education meeting at the end of April. There was actually a lot of kind of crossover stuff, which was interesting. Our first presenter was, I'm going to screw up her name, Rahumia Bradley, who was representing the Bridge, which is a photography mentorship program that was connecting professional photographers, and it's put on by a Brooklyn-based creative education group and the American Society of Media Photographers. And it was kind of designed to mentor and help younger photographers maybe aren't able to go to an art school or something like that throughout the 5 boroughs, and get them a little more into the business of photography and less of kind of the technical know-how. It sounded really cool. This is the 3rd year of the program. It's been really successful. And they wanted to kind of bring it a little more to the Bushwick community. We promised them that we would help blast it out at this meeting and through our newsletters. It seemed like a really cool program. And so you can find more information. I'm going to try to find the website here somewhere in the, you can refer to the notes or the newsletter for more information. That was really great. And then we had another presenter from a local film developing and photography shop, and they're working on some more community programs, which is really cool. Some more mentorship. They're working on setting up a workshop for film photography where they might be able to lend out cameras for people that are interested. They have some flyers they're going to share, and we will make sure that it gets out to the job board and the skills program board when those are ready to go. We didn't have any recommendations, but they all seemed like really worthwhile programs, and so we wanted to make sure that we were able to get the word out to the community.
Thank you. Any questions for the ACT, Arts, Culture, Technology portion of the meeting? All right, I don't see any hands from board members, no one in person. Thank you, Dustin. We will move on now to Housing and Land Use and Guiney.
Hi, everybody. We had our meeting on April 25th. It was a really good one. We had a presentation from Lacey Tauber from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office, which was an update on comprehensive planning. So the whole idea is that, those of you who remember the Bushwick Community Plan, a lot of you won't because it's a few years back now, but how to develop, how to get the community's needs prioritized in the various changes in Bushwick going forward, not just in things like housing, but transportation, health, public space, all of that. Under Borough President Reynoso, there's an effort to start a comprehensive planning effort for all of the borough. And that would also include balancing development in different neighborhoods. I think Lacey started by showing us in her presentation, which is available on the drive. I heartily recommend. It's, I think, very clear. Bushwick and a few other neighborhoods have seen a huge amount of development. There are other neighborhoods that have seen almost none. And she broke it down by, market rate, affordable, all that kind of stuff. So it was a real eye-opener of a presentation. Really recommend it. So we got an update on that. And then also we asked a lot of questions, which are very ably captured in the Housing and Land Use Committee notes. And I think are absolutely worth reading. Big shout out for tomorrow, May 18th. There is a workshop at Borough Hall for anyone who would be able to make it 6 to 8 p.m. I think it could be really interesting. And they'll be presenting it not just to Bushwick folks, but obviously the whole folks. And I will keep that part short because I know Lacey will make an announcement later. Thank you for dropping that link. We then had Maria Valdez from Senator Salazar's office came to answer some questions about good cause eviction that people had raised in the past. We ended up backing and forthing later on that week. Good cause did not pass. So I think that there are, that's going to be an ongoing conversation. So I think we should all keep talking about it. So I think there's a lot of new business. I know that a number of people have raised questions about the shelters in the neighborhood. The mayor has removed ULURP, the sort of, some of the traditional ULURP permissions planning for new shelters. It is an emergency. I think we will be talking about that. So all I know about this is what I've been reading in the newspaper. So I can't go into any more detail than that because it's all I know. I guess the school gym are no longer going to be used as shelters, as I understand it, as of yesterday. But again, that's all I know is from the newspaper. So I don't want to open a can of worms, but I do want to say that we are obviously paying attention to all of that. The Rent Guidelines Board has released its recommendations, and there are a lot of public hearings. So anyone in this meeting and who is not in this meeting, far more importantly, that we can disseminate this information into the community. There's a public hearing on May 25th, and they're accepting public testimony. That information is in the committee drive under committee mail. So for those of you who are interested in testifying, the first big one is on May 25th. It's for a 1-year lease. The proposed is between 2% and 5%, and for a 2-year lease, it's between 4% and 7%. So I think a lot of people have a lot to say about that, and I think that obviously, public input is hugely important. May 25th. So let's see, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping a little out of order because that's a new business. all right, so no, I'll go through the committee mail. There was an estate planning seminar on May 10th. You can find that information again in the committee drive. That's for people, especially long-term homeowners who want to pass it on to their kids, and figure out, the smartest ways to do that so that they can hang on to that. And I know that, Bushwick, thank goodness, still has a lot of people who have been here for a long time, and we hope they stay for a very long time. So there is a presentation that we have heard at the Housing and Land Use Committee and the full board is the mayor's initiative under for City of Yes, which is the carbon neutrality that is now under public environmental review. So that that process has started. Tomorrow morning, there is a march against displacement. A lot of our local organizations and friends, St. Nick's, Cuff, Make the Road, and others. It starts at 301 Grove Street. So anybody who's interested, check that out. Further information again in the drive. There was the regular monthly meeting that Mr. Camacho mentioned that he and Celeste had gone to, which was the Hope and Bushwick Gardens, that monthly tenants meeting. Department of Buildings, this is pretty technical, but they are proposing rule changes on how parapets, the very top of the building, the sort of 3 or 4 feet at the top of the roof, how those are observed and monitored. And I did attend a May 2nd affordable housing meeting that was run by the Civic Engagement Commission. I think, there was some really good information. I think the folks who show up to Housing and Land Use Committee regularly will have learned some of this over the meetings over the years, but it was a really good beginner session. I would welcome, a big welcome to all of the new members and people who are just beginning to come to community board meetings just as members of the public. There's terrific information in our drive on things like affordable housing, which honestly is probably a huge question that we always get. So there's great stuff, and we can direct you more specifically to it. Direct questions to the district office, or they can send you to me. Happy to answer those questions. It's not a problem at all. And then I think that is the number one. That is most of the debate. So just because I realized I talked pretty fast there, try to pack it all in. It was comprehensive planning, good cause eviction, and then committee mail review. There's always busy at the Housing and Land Use Committee meeting, and we welcome everyone to come all the time. Any questions?
Going once, going twice. Questions from board members? All right, there's nothing in the chat. All right, thanks, Ann.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next we have our Health, Human Service, Senior Citizens, Veterans Committee. At the time, the committee chairperson position was vacant. However, we were just informed by Borough Hall today that Luisa Jose was reappointed, and she accepted returning to the role as committee chairperson. So she was not there for this particular meeting. Mr. Camacho will provide an overview in her place.
Yes, we met Thursday, May 11th at 6 p.m. We did not, only one board member was present, which is Reverend James Stewart II. Thank you, and myself. So we had no quorum to do this, but it was informational. If you guys read it, I think they sent it to you guys. There was a request for support, but we couldn't vote on it because we didn't have a quorum. And it was in regards to the campaign for running a NYC smoke-free program for public health solutions. The large public health not-for-profit in the city, they are collecting signatures to present to the New York State Attorney General Office, urging them to explore solutions that can reduce the elimination of smoking vapors, e-cigarette use, and brand identification and entertainment and media. So what they want to do is protect the kids in regards to the media and entertainment that you see on TV. Powerful influence on the screen, smoking and vaping images. So they want to stop from putting those cigarette brands and commercials and all those stuff on the advertisement because a lot of kids tobacco of 15 to 24 are doing that now. They vapor, they see it on the screen, movie screen, they see it on mobile phones and anywhere. So they needed that, but that didn't even we couldn't vote on that. So it in regards to the mail review, the community review all memos, notes on both committee and Google Drive. Recommendation was none. Old business was none, and we ended at. We didn't read it. Yeah, it wasn't written, but meeting started at 6:10, ended at 6:28. It was very quick. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Any questions for the Health, et cetera, committee? All right. Moving on to Economic Development and Permits and Licenses. Desmond?
Okay, let me run through this because these are always very long meetings. Housing and land use and permits and economic development definitely run long. Get up. Okay, so our meeting was held May 9th, 6 p.m. I'll just run into it on the roll call. So the second agenda item was New York State liquor law license application review for Ann Pup Wyckoff LLC, DBA Proper Pup Lounge, 49 Wyckoff Avenue, Unit 408A. They want a new wine beer license. It's located between Star Street and Willoughby Avenue. The establishment type is a restaurant. Two of the general manager and one of the owners showed up. And so they plan to open, now this is very, give me a minute, this is very convoluted. So they plan to open up to operate a dog social club on the 4th floor of the building. There will also be a small cafe bar with outside dining area, and they plan to close at 10 p.m. The intended sale of alcohol is Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. The chairperson informed the owner of the relevant stipulations. Multiple tenants within the building enumerated their concerns and oppositions to the application, and it will significantly adversely affect both homes and businesses. Multiple residents showed up to protest. The SLA attorney appreciates the time and commitment that we reference. In reference to the dog part of the plan, it's membership based. For the food and beverage part, it's open to the public, and for beer, wine, and cider license, of 500 foot rule doesn't apply. They are only using a portion of the 4th floor. It is not a late night venue and will close at 10 p.m. There are some stipulations with DJs and live music, but they can go and work through that. And I'm sure we'll go through that with recommendations. And then there was WMP Brooklyn LLC, DBA Cafe Mez, 428 Troutman Street, alteration to existing LWBC license, wine, liquor, and beer license. Located between Wyckoff Avenue and St. Nicholas Avenue. Establishment type, it is bar event space. The owner, Kelly, shared that this is a public roof deck attached to the building, and they just want to add not an actual bar, but like bar seating space. So there won't be a bar up there. There will be background music, no live music or DJs. And they do not plan to stay open past 12 for this one section. Melissa, the chair, reiterated the community stipulations, and the owner responded they're flexible on the hours. Again, members of the community who live close to the space express their concerns when it comes to that, because a lot of the places in the area have already said it there. They're already under stipulation to close by a certain time, but yet they just stay open. So they don't really they're not vibing with that. But the attended alcohol sales are Monday through Sunday 12 to 4 a.m. The PLC chairperson informed them the owner of the relevant stipulations, no amplified music outdoors, no outdoor space must be closed by 10. The owner agreed. The hours above will be amended. The 12 to 4 a.m. will be amended to reflect the stipulations. And the agenda 3 item was for our economic land use. It was just kind of an update on the Riseboro Neighborhood 360 initiative. They're just kind of telling us what's going on with their kind of programs they have. You guys can see more of that in the statement. And then there was really nothing on the community mail review. And agenda item 5 is the recommendations, which we will get to later. We can have more talks about the establishment proper pup lounge, because that was a very heated discussion. And I think the full board needs to give their recommendations concerning this. And that's it.
Thanks, Desmond. And just a quick note in reference to both the 30-day notice and the CB4 form, they did not submit an updated copy of either. So their 30-day notice still reflects the method of operation for live music and DJs, even though they did say that they would be willing to change that. This is for 428 Troutman, Cafe Mez, and also the CB4 form. They didn't submit an updated one reflecting the hours that were discussed in the meeting. I just wanted to make sure that that's clear so it could be potentially included in the recommendation later, that they have to update that paperwork and return it to us. But just noted that we didn't receive it prior to this meeting. All right, any questions from the board? Going once, going twice? All right. Seeing none and hearing none, we will move on now to recommendations. And I believe this evening we just have the recommendation from Economic Development Permits and Licenses.
Okay, so this one is a bit. And me and Celeste kind of talked about how we can kind of do this. All right, so the one for Pup Lounge, basically the recommendation was to disapprove of the establishment, and basically that was it. But me and Celeste were talking, and there's more that needs to go with this. So Celeste, if you want to chime in on this conversation about how we can really submit this.
Sure. So based on the discussion in the committee meeting, and I do have an update on this. So just so folks know, we referred this initially to the Department of City Planning to see if this use was even allowed within the building. City Planning referred me to the Loft Board, and the Loft Board referred me to the Department of Buildings. So I spoke to everyone, and I did get an answer regarding the space on the roof. And I believe, is Damaris still on from Department of Buildings?
Yes, I'm here.
Would you be able to, I don't know if you have it in front of me, I can pull up your email, but would you be able to reiterate or speak to just what I sent earlier? I know there were 2 different portions that you mentioned. I can also pull up that email.
This is regarding the pup lounge, right?
Yes,
I don't
correct.
know if I'm really saying that right, but okay. Okay, so yeah, I took a quick glance at it. So they did file for a public assembly on the roof for an eating and drinking establishment, and it was approved. Also, there was a permit that was filed back in 2021 to convert the 1st, 2nd, and 4th floors from use group 6B, which is offices, to use group 6C, which is a food and beverage. But that job was never signed off, and they never got a final certificate of occupancy. So they do have to move forward with that before they can put an eating and drinking establishment there. With regard to, I know you mentioned a dog run, which I'm honestly not really sure what that is. And I don't know how they're planning to use the space. There are certain filings, there's certain zoning that they have to comply with if they plan on having dog kennels there or anything else, especially if they're sharing the space with the residential. I believe there's residential units on the 3rd floor, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so with that regard, we definitely have to get it looked at by the code and zoning specialist. This was the change of use and occupancy. Like I said, it was filed in 2021, and they never got a final C of Os. They didn't get a public assembly on the roof, like I said, but with regard to the space on the fourth floor, that isn't solidified.
Got it. Okay, so what I would suggest, just given this information, this could be included along with the recommendation of no. And as I mentioned in the committee meeting, there was a significant turnout from the residents and business owners within that building. So emphasizing that it's not just no period, but no because it will significantly and adversely affect all of those tenants and businesses, affecting their livelihood. They have submitted petitions to the board's office. Some of them have submitted testimony. That will all be included with the response to the SLA. But that is the suggestion that I would have in addition to the recommendation of no.
And it would have to be our suggestions would have to be very, very clear that, because I've had lunch with the lawyer who's not representing your tenants, but he's a friend of the tenant, Sam Cohen. He was on the call and I haven't seen him in 15 years and I was able to catch up with him and asked him how he was involved in this situation, because he usually does like civil rights and other kind of things. And he told me a friend of his lives there and it's how we got involved. But there is a sentiment from the tenants, the residents, that they're trying to be pushed out. They've actively made this, the landlords actively made this a hostile living space, considering that, yes, the pub place has like a membership and it's only open till 10, but the bar and wine place is kind of open to the public. So can you imagine having a bar in your building, having people walking in and out of your door constantly, just going to the bar, doing whatever they want, and you're actually trying to go home? So I actually, in this situation, I see where the tenants are coming in and how they are very frustrated. And anything that we could put in writing that the SLA can look at and really take that into consideration would be great, because it's a real issue. I mean, you have a dog run, you have a bar, you have all kinds of stuff going on, and you're just trying to live. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Sorry, this is Damaris again from DOB. So they're currently operating right now. They're just looking for SLA approval from the board. Is that correct?
So the business itself isn't open yet, but they are just seeking, the board is only commenting specifically on the SLA portion, not their business proposal. But since they're both connected, we have no choice but to consider them together.
Okay. There's also, somebody said in the chat that they're doing construction. So there is an electrical permit on file for, I believe, the first, second, and fourth floors. We actually did an inspection not too long ago, I believe last week. And all the work taking place was according to the approved permits. But I mean, if the space isn't operating yet, then there's really no enforcement at this point. It's really just kind of checking if they're in compliance with code and zoning to have a dog run there. And I also, I mean, to come into compliance, I understand that obviously the tenants wouldn't want the space there. But really with DOB, I mean, if the space calls for this, if it allows it, which is why I want to speak with the code and zoning specialist, that's really what we need to get to the bottom of.
Got it. So it just for folks to understand that it could potentially be feasible based on the result of that conversation. We will have to wait to hear more from DOB. That is separate from the liquor license portion, even though both projects are connected. So we will include whatever response we receive from DOB in our updates to the SLA. And I would suggest they be included with the recommendation this evening.
Annette Spiller wants to be recognized.
And also those letters that everyone has been talking about, because some people do live there. So we really need to add those letters that we have on there.
Yeah, and we have a stack on Zoom. I know folks have been waiting patiently. So I see Annette followed by Christine, and then we have a board member in person.
Okay, everybody, we're talking about buildings and the letters. No one is talking about the health department. How is it that you can have a dog run and a dog a unit along with food and booze without it being a health problem? I'm lost there. I don't understand that.
They're separate spaces, Annette, and I'm happy to forward this over to Department of Health. But the way it was described in the meeting, it's not like the bar is not within the dog run. It's separate from the bar cafe space. Yeah, it's they're separated spaces. So, but we can forward this to the Department of Health. At the end of the day, the board can't make a ruling based off of that. And we wouldn't be able to, we can include their response the same way we're including DOB's response in the recommendation. But it is specific to the liquor license application. So that could be flagged.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Christine?
Hi, everybody. I'm a new community board member, and I'm also a residential tenant in the building where this license has been requested. And there's nothing really more to say than what was said at length by about 12 different people who showed up from my building. It's just that it's kind of mind-blowing to me, and maybe I'll reach out to the DOB, but it's kind of crazy to me that you can have, just from a health and hygiene perspective, like all the stuff that comes along with dogs pooping and peeing and sharing elevators and hallways with residential and commercial tenants, and when there are children in the building. In addition to pairing that with a liquor license where, you know, every day outside my window, I see dog fights of like people who are sober. So I can't imagine what that looks like when people have been drinking. So and there's like zero sound insulation. So the intent is to convert the entire building, with the exception of a handful of residential tenants, into like a multi-service, like dog-friendly restaurant on the ground floor, dog bar #1 on the 4th floor, dog bar #2 on the roof, and a dog run is just a big open space where dogs run around, which is what they're intending to use the roof for, as well as a veterinary hospital with emergency services and a 24/7 kennel that boards and trains and grooms dogs. So surrounded on all angles 24/7 by dog barking and all of the kind of health and hygiene and safety concerns that you can imagine at a boozy dog facility. So that's it.
All right. We have a board member, I believe, new board member in person that has comments.
Thank you. My name's Edward Kopp. I'm a newly appointed board member as well. Yeah, the first thing that was just pointed out is a point of information. A dog run is a large enclosed area where dogs are allowed to run around freely. So I'm also curious as to where does this fall into animal health and welfare, and what has the city, how do we look at that as a community board when we have these types of concerns? I'm not so concerned about animals not being able to relieve themselves properly. I'm more concerned about just the number of animals that could potentially find themselves in an enclosed place for a long period of time.
All right. So again, just to reiterate, that is a question for DOB to respond to. This is not something that's directly within the board's purview. We rely on our agency partners to clarify what is legally permissible. As they continue to build out work, we will get those answers from DOB. They are aware of the concerns here. And I will also be following with the Department of Health. A lot of these processes are separate. The only part of this process that the board is mandated by the state charter to comment on is the liquor license portion, which we understand sometimes overlaps with these other aspects. Ms. Bennett is the last comment.
Yes, it's pretty customary for these people who want liquor licenses to reach out to their neighbors. Has that been done, and has the full intention of this establishment been explained to the neighbors, surrounding neighbors?
As a neighbor, I can probably speak to that. We were never reached out to directly. We just saw the post on the door. But very quickly, all the tenants contacted one another, both residential and commercial. And to my knowledge, we're all completely united. There is zero support for this project. In the street across from me, I don't know. I haven't reached out to my neighbors across the street, but this is an area that's sort of been plagued by Moonrise and other liquor establishments being quite disruptive. So I suspect that their feelings would be similar to ours, but I don't know for sure.
Thank you. I was actually really trying to address the committee chair, but you've pretty much answered my question. Thank you very much.
Great. All right. So there's a semblance of an amended recommendation. We would need it from the board. We've made some suggestions. Would someone like to take an attempt at an amended recommendation? I could also do that if someone would like, someone like me to summarize.
Yeah,
what
I
we
just, I was
discussed?
gonna make an attempt,
Oh.
but there's so much that needs to go into this.
Okay, you know,
that
no,
I
I
didn't wanna
can, so,
drag.
so there was a no from the committee. What we suggested to add this evening is that it will significantly and adversely impact the tenants and small businesses within the building, and also include the responses from the Department of Buildings in terms of whether this is legally permissible, and also the Department of Health. Responses from both agencies. Is there a motion for that recommendation?
I make a second.
Wait, okay,
Barbara.
Barbara Jackson made a motion.
I
Is
second
there
it,
a
Barbara.
second?
I second it, Barbara Smith.
Barbara Smith seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right. And we'll move on now to the second one, Desmond.
Yes, so the second one is where am I? Why don't I and hold on, I'm sorry. It's Maze, but the recommendation was to I'm looking at it right now, I don't know how you see it, but the recommendation was to to approve the alterations to Cafe Maze at 428 Troutman Street.
Yeah, and just to be clear, that means, and they confirmed in the meeting, the outdoor dining areas. So the entire roof is an outdoor dining area. It has to close at 10 p.m. And they confirmed that no DJs, no amplified music. So folks can have their drinks and their food upstairs until 10 p.m. That is the recommendation. Is there a motion? Oh, go ahead. Is there a question on that?
Just a point of clarification that no amplified music also means no, like nothing, not even your tiny little speaker.
Yeah, nothing about it.
Okay, is there a motion for that?
What it is they have a rooftop, and all they're asking is to they have to go up there and on that rooftop. So we're only giving them the hours that they have according to, but they only want the rooftop space that they have in the roof.
Yeah, essentially extended seating space.
Correct.
There's no bar on the roof.
Right.
There is no amplified music on the roof. It is additional tables and chairs.
Correct.
You could take your drink upstairs.
Yeah, you could take your drink
and have it on the
upstairs
roof.
and have it on the roof and sing that song.
Get the full
On
penthouse
the roof.
experience. Is there a motion? Anyone, someone?
It was approved by the committee.
I mean,
That's the
yeah, as part of the committee, I make a motion to approve.
Okay. All right, is there a second?
Boy, second.
Tucker, Ben Tucker, seconds in person, all in favor?
No,
Any opposed? Okay, any opposed?
Barbara, no.
Okay, just hold, okay, let me just make a note. Barbara Smith opposed, Barbara Jackson opposed. Anyone else opposed?
Joanna Bennett.
Okay, just give me a second. Joanna Bennett. I have
Where is
3
this
opposed.
location?
This 428 Troutman.
Opposed.
Okay, Z Navoa.
Alvina
Opposed.
Davis.
Opposed? Or
Yes.
we're still opposed. Okay. All right.
So-
Anyone else opposed?
Virgie Jones.
Virgie Jones opposed. Anyone else opposed? Hearing no one else, are there any abstentions? Raul Rubio? Any other abstentions? Hearing none, that's 6 opposed, 1 abstention. This motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
So, do I have a minute? I just want to let everyone know that during the meeting, we talked about the issues that I think that most people are concerned about, and the Assemblywoman assured us that they were putting together a planning organization or a task force for local residents to advocate and address their concerns related to the liquor license establishment, particularly in our area and like Jefferson Street and the L subway station. So I know there's a gut reaction to always just to oppose because we think that's going to stop them. But what happens is they end up going with no stipulation. So I would suggest that everybody who has these concerns that we all meet up with the Assemblywoman's Task Force, and we actually start working with the SLA to actually make the restrictions that we need, because just being upset with either Melissa, myself, or when these things come up to the community board, it's not the direct action. I think Melissa keeps trying to express that a lot, but she gets the brunt of a lot of these approvals. And so sometimes it's hard for us to make a motion because we don't want to get ripped apart. But the thing is that if we don't do a motion with stipulations, then it's just basically a free for all. And we don't want that as well. So we're stuck in a kind of a damned if you do and damned if you don't situation. So the only way for us to get out of that is to really work with the Assembly woman and her task force and also the SLA. Just want to put that out there.
Desmond, I agree with you 100%.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
All right.
I had
That
my
concludes-
hand raised and I just
sorry,
wanted
go
to,
ahead.
that's all right. I just wanted to make it clear that Desmond, I don't think anyone on this community board has any hard feelings for Miss Melissa Carrera or yourself. We fully understand. And that information about the Assemblywoman's Task Force, I think we'll be happy to join her. We understand that you have a job to do. So please don't think that we are upset with you or Melissa Carrera personally. I certainly am not.
Thank you for that.
All right. That
I
concludes
agree
our
with,
record.
I agree with Miss Joanna Bennett, Desmond, because I was the chairperson of that committee. And it's hard to go one way or the other, but the board people, we have to agree. Everyone has to agree on a certain topic because it's going to pass no matter what. It's going to go to the SLA and they're going to get it. But if you stick together as one, you get things done. Nobody wants this going on. Rooftop is like crazy. I've got thousands of complaints through the precinct council. They don't have to have music. Their voices will be the music when they on top of the roof.
All right. I'm here catching rats,
Very
man.
true.
And so you don't have to have music up there. Once they start singing,
took out
after they have a drink, that's it.
You took out bags of clothes?
Okay, can we mute folks if you're not speaking? So we don't cut each other off unintentionally. I see Reverend Davis, I believe. Is that your hand raised?
Yes. I just have to say, because I don't feel that if we say no or we're in disagreement, it's not aimed at Desmond or the committee at all. It's just that we're just trying to state that we're just not in agreement with it. I mean, it's presented, and if we agree with it, we say yes. If we abstain, there's a reason for abstaining. If we say no, we say no. I abstain most of the time because of my position, and I can't agree with certain things. But it's hard for me because I was on the public safety committee prior to, and there's a lot of things that was going on I just could not agree with. It has nothing to do with the committee itself. The committee is doing its job. And I think the committee is doing a very good job in presenting the issues to us for us to turn around and vote on. And that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your comments. All right, if there's nothing else, we will move on from recommendations down to old business. Any old business? Going once, going twice. Moving on, new business. Any new business? We have a question.
Thank you. My name's Edward Kopp. New business. I have not heard any discussion of neighborhood support teams. Mayor Adams has this community board, community-based organization and council member business improvement districts to submit a request for expressions of interest for the development of neighborhood support teams. I've heard nothing talked about this, and the deadline is May 31st.
It will be discussed at what was supposed to be discussed at the executive board meeting this month. Mr. Camacho and I will be having a follow-up conversation. He's been in communication with Ray Carrero from the Mayor's Office of Operations. We have 3 proposed projects. Hopefully one of them will be selected, specifically the one hopefully off the Jefferson L train to deal with the quality of life issues from the nightlife businesses. This is not only board members right now. Yeah, this is only board members. Yeah, if you have something under announcements, it's for the public.
Under now.
Yeah, that's for the public. Only board members right now, as per Mr. Camacho. I'm following the rules here, folks.
Yes. I'm sorry.
All right. Any other new business from board members? All right. Seeing none, we have announcements, 1.5 minutes, everyone. Please raise your hands if you're on Zoom.
Well, this is not an announcement. Hi, my name is Alvin, as a member. I got a question for the board. There was a meeting last week about Irving Square Park, about a bathroom, dog run, and something else that they want to put in the park. I just wonder, how is the city councilwoman have a meeting where she didn't invite nobody that own houses in the block, in Halsey, Wilson, and Whitfield, but they have a meeting in 151 and nobody knew about it. They didn't even put flyers. The people that live there, they went to the meeting, few of them, because I went and knocked on those people's houses and asked them personally, do you know anything about the meeting? And they told me no. So I said, listen, tomorrow there's a meeting in 151. You should go and express yourself because you own a house in Whitfield. They're going to put a bathroom in front of your house. And I don't think it's fair that you have a meeting with only one type of people and not the people that own houses that's going to be impacted by the bathroom. I think it should be fair for the people that own houses to be part of the system, part of the decision too. It's not only the people that own the dog because they're here now. I understand. You know, we could work on everybody. But next week they move out. So the people that stay here is the children. And in reality, that situation in the park being here already for years. And you know that said that it come to the meeting to the board already 4 times and it never passed because the community that live in the park, they don't want the dog run. They want a baby playground.
Thank you, Austin. So that meeting was organized by Councilmember Nurse. We had the council member on. We also have staff here. I would like to give them an opportunity to respond to that question as they conducted outreach.
Hi, I'm just gonna direct reply. The town hall was just an informational session. We did extensive outreach. I'm sorry if you were not targeted or were missed, but many members of the community and neighbors from the block attended. 80 people were at the town hall, including CB4, lots of people who were in this room earlier today. It won't be the first or the last, so there will be more. No decisions were made at the town hall. It was just to let people know what's going on, answer questions about the dog run request. It's just a request. The bathroom is not a project of the council member. It went through the community board for Mr. Camacho and Celeste can talk to you about that. It's not even money from the council member's office. So we just wanted to let people know that because there's a lot of misunderstanding around that. The Brooklyn Parks Commissioner came to the meeting and he explained what is required for there to be a dog run if the dog run is supposed to happen. We're very aware that's a very old request. There are lots of things that need to happen before the dog run can even happen. So that was all communicated to the folks asking for the dog run at the town hall. It is not necessarily voted on or going to happen. It's just, it was an opportunity to get the neighbors in the room. I'm working on a summary now that we're going to share in our newsletter. Where I can, we're going to put a list of all the questions that were asked that night, all the answers from the Parks Commissioner, all the answers that the council member gave. So if you missed it, there will be a summary for you to read, and I will personally make sure that you get it. Anyone else who did not go to the town hall, you can contact me at the end of the meeting. We can chat about it, and I'll get your email, make sure you get the email from us. But that's all I can say about that.
Yep. So this is just announcements. There's no follow-up. So now we have to move on to the next announcement. If you would like to have a conversation about this, you can speak to Fran after the meeting or speak to myself, Mr. Camacho, or anyone that's here that would like to continue the conversation. Next, we have the Borough President's Office.
Hi, everyone. I will try to be quick. Thank you, Anne, for covering all of the information about our comprehensive planning effort. As she mentioned, we are having a big public workshop tomorrow from 6 to 8 p.m. Borough Hall. We would love to see you there. We've been working on this project for about a year now, and we're getting close to the end. And this is where we really want to hear from folks about your input. If you can't make it, we also have a survey that you can take, and we would love to hear from you, as I said. On Monday next week, we are having a public hearing also at Borough Hall about some guidance and an interpretive statement that we are putting out about community board affairs. So this is basically about making sure that boards are funded and resourced. And so I'm going to put some more information in the chat. We would love for you all to come out and tell us your thoughts. Next Thursday, we are having our Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month celebration at Borough Hall. I'll also put the link in the chat to RSVP for that. And I just want to say again, welcome to all the new members. It's really great to see you all here. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a quick note, I know we did this last month, but if all the folks from the elected officials' offices, the reps, if you can please send me a copy of your announcements, it's very helpful for us in preparing the minutes to make sure everything is accurately recorded. Next, I have the Controller's Office.
Thank you, Celeste. Just a quick update on my end. So on behalf of the Comptroller's Office, I want to invite members of the public to participate in New York City's Banking Commission's first ever public hearing. That's taking place next Thursday, May 25th at 12 p.m. at 1 Center Street at the mezzanine level. So the New York Banking Commission is the three-member body comprised of representatives of the mayor, the comptroller, and the finance commissioner, which is responsible for designating banking institutions that would be eligible to hold the city's public dollars. So this hearing will provide an opportunity for the public to share its experience and feedback on the 28 banks who have applied for this designation of NYC designated banks. I'll share the link of all 28 banks in the chat. Testimony may also address your work on issues relating to access to financial services, financial disparities, and how you would like to see the commission evaluate the bank's applications. If you're unable to attend in person, you can submit a written testimony via the portal that I'll share the link to in the chat as well, or sending your testimony via email to our offices. Thank you all.
Thank you. Department of Buildings.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to come on and give a quick announcement about the DOB Small Business Support Team. So this is a great resource for small business owners. We provide small business owners and even entrepreneurs the dedicated DOB support that they need. So small business owners and entrepreneurs will have a single point of contact at DOB, and this allows them to have one-on-one guidance if you're planning on doing any construction projects or anything in your small business, or even if you just have some general concerns. This is kind of a unit that is designed specifically for that, and it actually expedites all of these processes and these construction projects for small businesses. So I have that flyer. I actually put it in the chat. Celestina, I've also emailed you the flyer so you can print it out and hand it out at the community board. And then also the small business team will actually be at the Brooklyn Borough office not every Tuesday, I'm sorry, every third Tuesday of the month. And they'll be able to meet with the public as well. So they'll be stationed at buildings after hours. And I put that information in the chat as well. That's about it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Gutierrez's office.
Hey everyone. So just quick few announcements from our end. Just want to announce that the winners for participatory budget for Bushwick were EBC High School, El Jardín, and we will be getting more trees in District 34. Also, we know that as the weather is getting warmer, trash issues will be coming more in the district. So if you have any trash issues, please contact 311 and then contact our office. And then, I think Ms. Celeste said in the beginning, but we're happy to announce that Bushwick has received its first historical landmarking. The landmarking preservation has voted to landmark the Linden Street buildings, and just want to give a shout out to everyone who's has been working in the landmarking process in Bushwick. It's the first, but it won't be the last in Bushwick. So if anyone has questions, you could contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we had one more, I believe, Ms. Chambers. Whenever you're ready. Danielle Chambers.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So good evening, everyone. It's always a pleasure to come before you. I want to say good evening to our chairman, Mr. Camacho, and our district manager and our board members. A pleasant good evening to everyone. Calvary and St. Cyprian's Episcopal Church, of which I'm a member, Danielle Chambers. We are having our annual community health fair. So in the meantime, while I am sharing, please get ready to mark your calendars for Saturday, June the 3rd, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our health fair is comprehensive. We have invited the city's noted physicians to provide our visitors with health checks and a booth we are calling Ask the Doctor, as well as health professionals from Woodhall Hospital sharing updates on home health care. We will have games, prizes, health-focused meals, and snacks will be on hand, along with a live DJ. He'll be on hand to entertain you as you and your family and friends come and visit the various booths for information. Now you should be ready again to write. This event will be Saturday, June the 3rd at 966 Bushwick Avenue. It's located at the head of Minahan and Bushwick Avenues. The kickoff time is at 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And finally, I want to please accept my invitation to the chairman, Mr. Camacho, our district manager, Ms. Celeste Leon, the board members, our delegates to the state and the state council and city assembly members. There's a flyer available for your review in the back. Please come out and have a wonderful time. The food is amazing. Everything is basically homemade. We do not go with processed anything. We make the food and we are always so delighted.
If you make it homemade food, you know I'm going.
Come on, I'm looking for you, Mr. Camacho. So I'm looking for everyone. I hope very soon to join you in person, but this is an opportunity for us as community members, family, friends to come together, have a wonderful time, have some good food. We do some checks. You have some questions, we have answers. So I thank you for my time.
Thank you for the announcement. And just want to make sure before we wrap up, Fran, do you have something? Go ahead. We'll get the mic to you. You want to come closer?
Hello. Hi again. Very quick. Thanks to all who came to the town hall. There will be more. We are having a Narcan naloxone training with the Department of Health for Pride Month on June 17th at 2 p.m. It will be held at LGBTQIA+ bar called All Night Skate on 54 Rockaway Avenue. It is free and open to the public. It is one of our first efforts to address the opioid epidemic in the city and do some harm reduction training. There will also be free HIV testing available on site. We will also have a partner with the same organization offering the training at Shape Up Bushwick for us. So if you miss it, you can go to that one. We are also having movie nights at Irving Square Park. I brought flyers for that. June 2nd is the first one. Lightyear will be the movie. Movie starts at sundown. There is a building and trade job fair happening in the East New York side of the district. Our flyers are all online. Yeah, that's about it.
Thanks, Fran. All right. And I believe the Bushwick Star is with us as well.
Hi, Celeste. Hi, Robert.
Hey.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Noel
I
Lane.
like
I'm
your
there.
hair, man.
Thank you. This is called haven't brushed my hair for 3 days hairdo. Hi everyone. I'm Noel Lane. I'm the artistic director from the Bushwick Star Theater. I wanted to make kind of an early announcement for our Summer Arts Festival, which will actually take place on August 27th. It's an early announcement because we usually hold this arts festival in Maria Hernandez Park. It's an all ages festival with arts and crafts activities for kids. There's music and live performance at the end. It's in collaboration with Oye Group and El Puente. And there's back to school giveaways for kids of book bags and supplies. We are not holding it in Maria Hernandez Park for the first time. We're actually, and we talked about block party permits earlier today. I just submitted for a permit for our block where our new building is. Some of you may recall we are in the long process of renovating a new home on Eldert Street, right off of Wyckoff. It's a dead end block, and it's on a Sunday, so I'm hoping that there'll be not too many problems. Celeste and Robert, I might ask for your guidance a little bit on that as we move forward. But I wanted to put that date into people's minds and make sure we start circulating as we, in the park. One of the benefits of being there is this built-in kind of audience of people who are already at the park, and this will be much more of a push to build awareness around the event and hope to get people to come to the block and participate with us there. So I will circle back again next month.
Great. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right. We have one more announcement. I believe a public attendee. I'm not sure if they're affiliated with an organization. Thomas Green.
Hi, thank you. Good evening. My name's Thomas Green. I live on Troutman Street between Wyckoff and Irving. So I live on the street that was suddenly part of open streets. I say suddenly because between my household here and the households around me, not a single resident that I could find was aware that open street was going to happen on our street. So we felt we were cut out of the process of what open streets could be. In general, I think I'm not necessarily against open streets, but I certainly feel that an end run was run around us as the residents. As you know, this block is probably already been developed very, very quickly with a lot of bars and restaurants, and coming with that, the usual kind of antisocial behavior, which inevitably comes. I think the residents of the street have been pretty easy, been able to roll with the punches on this. This open street was really a shock to everyone here, and we're pretty scared that it looks like we might have 50 days of programming, I think they call it. If that's going to be 50 days of live music, amplified music on our street, I think, the residents of Troutman Street are going to try to put something together to try and preserve the quality of the life we have here. There are residents on this street, multi-age residents, young children, grandparents, and parents all live here on this street. And would like you to remember that we live here, please. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing. We would also like DOT to remember that the community lives here when they make decisions without us. And so we will be following up. We'll make sure that you're connected to the organizer of this particular event. But this program is a DOT, Department of Transportation program. They do not require community input for folks to apply.
I have come to understand that. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. We will follow up offline. All right. We are now at our second roll call. Board members, please be ready. Tashana Wade.
Present.
Jerry Valentine.
Present. Good night.
Ben Tucker. Present in person. Jessica Tiburcio.
Present.
James Stewart.
Present.
Got you.
Good night.
Got you both. Annette Spellin.
Present. Good night.
Justin Sonborn.
Present. Good night, everybody.
Maria Soler. Barbara Smith.
Present.
Bernadina Shell.
Present. Good night.
Milagro Sandoval.
Present. Good night.
Eliseo Ruiz.
Good night, everyone, especially
Raul
Annie.
Rubio. Present in person. Diane Price. Asaya Polite. Caitlin Penner. Levi Orenstein Wolf.
Present.
Zuma Navoa.
Good night. Buonanotte. Arrivederci.
Desmond Monroe.
Present.
Imani, gotcha, Desmond. Imani Mitchell.
Present, good night.
Mary McClellan. Raman Mama. Christine Malden.
Present, good night.
Edward Kopp. Present in person. Nicholas Kaplan.
Present, good night.
Cassandra LeVay. Luisa Jose. Tara Jones Thomas. Virgie Jones.
Good night.
Kaisha,
Present.
gotcha, Virgie. Kaisha Johnson.
Present.
Barbara Jackson. Present in person. Tanisha Honeygan.
Present, good night.
Gotcha, Tanisha. Zachary Hendrickson. Ann Guiney.
Present, good night.
Christopher Graham.
Present, good night, everyone.
Joanna Fuentes.
Present, good night.
Freddie Fowler. Cecilia Fabian. Gotcha. Jasmine de Santiago Diaz. Elvina Davis.
Present, good night.
Andrew Choi.
Present,
Christian
thanks for
CT.
last.
Gotcha, Andrew. Christian Tate. Felix Ceballos.
Present, good night.
Robert Camacho. Present in person. Raul Brown.
Present. Present,
Akiba Brown. Joshua Brown. Joanna Bennett.
Present, good night.
Isa Abney.
Present, thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Barbara Jackson makes a motion.
Oh,
Raul
Dana
Rubio
Davis
seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? It is 9:05. Good night, everyone.
Buenas noches a todos.
Buonanotte. Ciao.
Bye.